Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I think as we're getting people in, hey, I'll just read my standard introduction. If you've tuned in before, welcome back. If you're just joining us, welcome. We really appreciate you, and we'll be getting started now. I am going to be opening the standard intro that I usually read that kind of gives a background of what our players kind of really came from, and then we'll do a recap of the previous episode, the previous adventures, and then we will get going. So, we'll just go ahead and get started. So, our party began their journey headed north in the Viridian Hills of Evantris, the known world. The hills had previously been uninhabited for centuries as the territory of the Green Dragon, Lithera the Proud, whom had recently been slain by the traveling folk hero Dobro Sharkbane. For the first time in a millennia, the mortal races were able to safely explore and settle the wilderness, eventually discovering vast gold deposits completely untapped. This began a gold rush, drawing countless miners, prospectors, merchants, and anyone else bold enough to seek their fortune in the newly erected town of Pridefall, named for the circumstances that allowed for its founding. The sudden springing up of civilization led to the discovery of ancient ruins and lost artifacts, attracting archaeologists, scholars, and the occasional magic practitioner. It's for this reason that our party found itself formed. Previously strangers, they met at the Inn of Wickermore, which was the last stop before the frontier. Although the roads north were finally traveled, it was still dangerous to go alone, compelling the adventurers to agree to share their journey in the ram cart of Rodek Stonehearth. Rodek, played by Richie here, is a dwarf fighter and former soldier from the mountains of the northern region of Mammoot. He brought with him his trusty giant ram, named Ramby, and an heirloom of mysterious importance, a huge war horn carved from a mammoth tusk and eternally frosty to the touch. He sought the counsel of Triton Azran, a professor of archaeology and renowned expert of magical relics, who had last been seen leading an expedition into the uncharted forests surrounding Pridefall in search of knowledge lost to the ages. Also in search of undiscovered artifacts was the bronze dragonborn Ganji Stormscale, played by Scouts here. A cleric of Bahamut and military researcher from the arid southern region of Nekbet, his battalion had been tasked with the mission of searching for the remnants of the ancient dragonborn empire that had once stretched across Evantris when the world was far younger, and for anything that might aid his people's war against the chromatic dragonborn. The sole survivor of an ambush that wiped out his comrades, Ganji ventured on alone to finish what he had started. In addition to ancient ruins, the sudden phenomenon of Fey crossings brought on by the death of the Green Dragon touched the surrounding area with a strong Fey presence. Even with Lithera dead, reports of disappearances and people going mad were everyday occurrences in the hills. Sylvie Flickerwicket, played by Mickey here, a forest gnome who had made a pact with the Archfey Titania after stumbling through her own Fey crossing, had been granted the powers of a warlock in return for service to the Summer Court. Sylvie left her home in Whipperwallow Swamp to investigate the potential outpouring of strange beings from the Feywilds. The shift in the balance of nature also drew the attention of the Wood Elves of the Thornwilds, who aim to preserve the natural order at all costs. Annulin Mossgrove, played by Kelsey, on the screen down there. She's a young Wood Elf ranger set off to Pridefall in search for her brother Ronmir, whose Thornwatch unit had been sent to the Viridian Hills to eradicate any unnatural abominations in the area. After their home was razed, their father killed, and their mother kidnapped in a fire giant raid, she hoped her brother could help save her surviving family from slavery. Finally, the party was joined by Vandris Truestrike, played by Andy here. Rogue of the port city of Gullhaven, bounty hunter of repute, an occasional performer when a false identity was called for, Vandris received a high-level, well-paying job from the royal family of the human kingdom of Anzu to hunt down the incredibly dangerous tiefling sorcerer named Orpheus Radamanthus for stealing a prized relic from the royal vault. After embarking on his hunt, Vandris had deduced that all signs pointed to Pridefall as his mark's destination. So, despite all of these varied motivations, these travelers found their goals united upon hearing a blood-curdling shriek from a thicket beside the road. Their investigation led them to being ambushed by slavers and subsequently rescuing a halfling girl, Sophina Spearfish, who had mysterious significance to a mysterious and murderous cult that pursued her relentlessly. In their adventures throughout the hills around Pridefall, the party discovered that the cult was actually serving the Coven of Whispers, a coven of 3 green hags that sought to spread the curse of lycanthropy throughout the land. After venturing southward, the party took the fight to the seat of the Coven's power in the mountains near Gristmill, a small farming village, and then aided by Dobro, the heroes dispatched the hags and foiled their plans, but not without the loss of Sophina, who had been an unwitting changeling since her infancy. Although the immediate danger had been eliminated, other pressing threats remained. The party's sight was then set on Goalhaven, where we are now, to where they suspected Orpheus had fled to continue the advancement of his dark machinations. And of course, there has been the constant murmuring of the whispers from beyond the plains, and an empire that malevolent forces would soon see rise again. And with that, we can do a little brief recap of last week's episode. So, you had arrived at Goalhaven. You had donned disguises, pretending to be nobles, securing invites to a masquerade hosted by Alphonse LeBlanc, one of the 7 silver serpents, which are the rulers of Goalhaven. After doing that, you did some light investigation around the town. You attended a circus, you visited a bard college, and you were attempting to get a meeting with Campana Prestissimo, also one of the Silver Serpents, trying to basically meet all those guys. You then got a bit of news, a bit of word from Vandrus's confidant, trusted confidant, Seamus Lear, that 3 Union enforcers from that work for Silas Belliver, who runs the Belliver Union, who basically runs a racket on most of the laborers and workers in Goalhaven, that he had sent that there was a tiefling that had moved into the Kench, which was the slummy underbelly of Goalhaven, and had not joined the Union, had not been paying Union dues. He sent in 3 enforcers. They never returned. He then found out that they had been heading towards Red Hook Alley, a particularly dangerous stretch of road in the Kench, and they still disappeared. Upon polymorphing the bat, Vandrus also confirmed that there was some strange occurrences at Old Man Weather's house, an abandoned house of an old man who had died 3 years prior, but the thug that they had known had said that he could brave it. He went inside and then never returned. The party then, under the cover of darkness and passed without a trace, infiltrated the Kench and found Old Man Weather's house. They did find that it was enchanted. After dispelling the enchantment, they broke in, finding bloated corpses with distended chests. They then discover a secret hatch which went down into a strange cavern area with 3 more corpses. All of these corpses being near or surrounded by strange rings with runes. Some magical incantation. After battling water creatures that had been left to guard, they disrupted all of these circles and were surprised to find the chests of these corpses moving around. Upon operating, they withdrew hideous, grotesque, monstrous-looking tadpoles, almost. 3 of which were of red color, one huge one was of a blue color. Along with that, they found a few small trinkets, but primarily a tome called The Way of the Elements, written in Draconic. They were only able to look through it hastily and briefly, but they were able to tell it was a book on the elemental planes, as well as some alchemical assistance, which included the reagents to create which they assumed was the paste used to perform those circles. They took that with them and disrupted everything, and then they were greeted by the voice of Orpheus, Rhadamanthus, whom they had been searching, who alluded to these being magical experiments that had been foiled. long working with magical experiments. However, he alluded to the fact that he was not there and mentioned that he was doing some kind of diplomacy. What he meant, the party doesn't know. But he promised that he'd be back soon. And with that, they took the tadpoles in the book and absconded and arrived back to the Pelican's Perch late in the evening. I don't know if you guys went to sleep. I can't quite remember.
I think we did.
I think you guys went to sleep.
Yeah.
And you are now awaking the next morning. It's a bit of a cloudy day. It's overcast as you awake. A little bit of sun kind of peeking out.
Turn that down a little bit.
Sure thing.
So, how many days until our armor's done?
I think it's like 3. I was keeping track. I said it's been like it's been like the 4th night.
3 days.
Oh,
So
we
it's
did a lot yesterday.
It's 3 days. Yeah, it's 3 days, and then 4 days for the masquerade.
Right.
So, what are our options currently?
Well, so the biggest issue is now that Orpheus knows that we're here.
We're meeting up in, I assume,
The common room. Yeah. So we'll walk down to the.
You guys are around the table, enjoying a breakfast that Seamus has made.
Better, like it's not better food, but we can eat better food at Seamus's.
Yeah, probably.
we don't have to eat from the bucket of slop.
The shitty help.
Yeah, that's probably exactly right.
You guys ate with us, remember? And she looked at us funny.
Oh, right.
Oh, we
That's
did. That's right.
That's true. So you actually,
So actually better food at the other place.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Seamus is off.
Still pretty.
Serving other customers. He's accustomed to you guys disappearing at this point
And plotting.
So now all we have is a book, and we know that Orpheus is here.
And he knows we're here.
Right. But we think that we know. Did we assume that his homunculus was tailing us? I guess we don't know.
We don't know, but
Who's
it's
tailing
safe. I think it's a
something?
safe assumption.
Right. And we know that he's doing diplomacy. So I think it's safe to say he'll probably be at the masquerade.
I think so too. It's very possible he'll be in disguise.
Right.
Including magical.
Like a funny hat, or like a polymorph, or
Well, if he's polymorph, then
So, out of character, I thought the last time that he was seen by people, he wasn't seen as a purple tiefling. Like, he's magic, so like I thought he has the ability to like disguise himself magically.
No, he matched the description that you had given. Seamus's contact in the Union.
Oh, I mean, like when he was like passing through that bookstore and like a while ago. I thought maybe he was like, for something gave me the impression that he could disguise himself.
No, not from any previous conversation you guys had had.
Okay, all right, maybe I'm just imagining, or I'm extra scared of him
I
just like
remembered
appearing.
that too. Like, way back from when we first met up with him.
I'm gonna take the DM's word for it.
Okay.
I 1d3, I think.
so he hasn't disguised
I don't
himself.
remember,
So, well then anyway, I think we were waiting for word from a few people
Oh, is it?
back at our what was it
Either
called?
way.
Somewhere up in Noble Garden.
Correct.
D3 extended charges daily.
We're waiting to meet possibly with I have her name.
This is
I
meant to be.
flipped my notes.
Campana Prestissimo,
Yep,
right?
correct.
And I'm waiting for my job application to come through, hopefully. Maybe I have to go there first.
Good luck, Rodek, my friend. We'll miss you while you're having wild adventures, shoveling shit at the circus.
I can't wait. And we're not waiting for word from anybody else, are we?
I don't think so.
So I think the real question is there anything that we need to get done in the next few days? Period.
Richie here from the proxy.
Yep. Okay. So we have 3 days until our armor's done. I say we head back to the inn and see if anyone's sent word.
Well,
Okay.
if he's disguising himself, I can't imagine it would be easy to hide one being a purple tiefling without magic. And we have a way to detect magic.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
But it wouldn't shock me if in spending time with, these, especially if it's Alphonse LeBlanc's ball, that he won't be the sole source of magic. Orpheus wouldn't be the sole source of magic. We could detect lots and lots of magic, and we wouldn't be able to pinpoint where or, what it's coming from, correct?
Yes,
Right.
but if we look at people and discover an aura of illusion, granted that might not be very specific, but
It could help narrow it down, though. Because doesn't it? It would make whoever, even if it's multiple people, glow.
Sure, I mean, we don't lose anything by using it. That's, a given. So it's definitely worth a try. I'm just saying it might not be as, informational as we hope.
that's
so we know that. Who else were you trying to speak to, Vandras?
There were three. We already talked about Miss Precisimo. There was obviously the alchemist,
Right.
and Fido, who is the one who specializes in magical items and things. Mostly because I believe that if there's an artifact to be gained or stolen, Orpheus would probably start with Vito.
And here's one more thing. So we know that Orpheus was a member of the Belver Union. So at some point he would have had to join the Union, right?
No, he had not gone to join the union. So everyone who goes into Goldhaven and is like a laborer of some kind needs to join the union.
Okay.
Especially anyone who moves in the catch. And so the idea was
So
that
they wanted him to join the
yeah,
Union.
so they were basically doing a racket, and he sent he was not participating.
he was gonna get shaken down,
Yeah.
and then the
So-
shakers down got shaken.
Never
They were
mind.
racketeering, as they say.
So there wouldn't be any records.
To be fair, there might not have been any records anyway. I doubt these people are very record keeping
That's true.
in nature.
That's true. Well, who has an idea?
Did we ever get back from the Bard College? Whether we got the meeting set up?
So why don't we go back to the Wit and Whimsy and see if word's been sent?
Did we ever tell her we were staying at the meeting?
We told her that, right?
I think so. I don't remember.
I don't think we did.
No.
I'm pretty sure we didn't tell her where she could contact us.
I thought we did.
I don't think she was going to contact us anyway.
That's true.
It was kind of a B.
Agreed. But
Well, it's kind of on the way, right? It's over here, so we could kind of do like a... So why don't we head back to Noble Garden, and on the way we'll stop by the college, see if we've heard anything, and we'll stop by the circus, see how my application's faring, and then go from there. How does that sound?
Agreed.
So, as you guys are talking, Seamus walks up and he pulls back a chair. You can see people are mostly filtering out into the after staying at his inn and filtering out into the city. He plops down in a chair and he looks at you and he says, "So late night, huh?
Aye.
Anything interesting happen?"
Well, Seamus, you know me, but I believe for now we best keep this as a secret. If you'd like to talk and discuss, I'd be happy to give you some information, but we best do it where there are no other possible prying eyes and ears.
So my information turned out to be right.
Doesn't it always?
Usually, I try not to lead you astray.
There's a reason I trust you, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I'd like to know what's going on in my joint.
Absolutely. When we have time, I'd be happy to fill you in. Like I said, we just need to make sure that we have a chance to speak in absolute privacy.
Is there anywhere private
You
here?
can go around back. Get in the kitchen. Smells real good back there.
You let us know when you have some free time.
We can go now.
Perfect.
I need to make sure I'm not gonna get kidnapped or nothing.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess we fought.
He leads you guys back
follow
into the
him
back. You see a few pots. There's a basket of freshly purchased fish and shellfish and the like. He seems to have gone out to the market early. He closes. He puts an eye out of the door, make sure nothing's wrong. He closes the door behind you guys, and you guys are in private.
So at this point, I've already told him about our whole journey and everything, and the reason that we were in Goldhaven.
Yeah.
So he knows the base story.
Yeah. And you were
So
looking
basically,
for,
I just want to fill him in on what happened, the previous night, by saying that we did we took his information, we did some reconnaissance into the Kench, and we found what we were looking for, and that Orpheus is here, and he's very dangerous, and we don't entirely know what he's up to. So our next goal is to try to figure that out.
So are you filling the whole previous evening? The whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, you have any of those slug things I could look at?
Did we take one?
I know it. So I
Okay,
opened
we
the
did.
bag. Yeah, we took all of them, right?
Yeah, we took everything.
Oh god. Okay. I
Leave
opened
no
the bag
slug
of holding.
behind.
And yeah, I'll have them look in.
Well, there's a bunch of shit in there.
I'll fish it out. I'll give
Do
one
we
of the
have
small ones.
giant tongs in the bag of holding that we can pull a tadpole out with?
How much do they weigh?
Probably a good like.
We wrapped them in
10
filthy
pounds each.
cloth though. So
Well, Maytan can carry 10 pounds, so.
I think I can only carry 5.
Oh, maybe it's 5.
I think it's 5.
Anyway, I
So
give it. It's
very
wrapped in
strong
cloth.
man.
I give it to him.
He grabs it and he says, "What the hell is Orpheus doing?
I wish we knew.
That's a good question.
This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot."
Are you done? Give it. Put it
And
back.
so that weird-looking book, I've never been much of a reader, self-admitted. Yeah, did you get a chance to look through it? Anything interesting in it?
That's a good point.
So somebody leafed through it, but it was, I think Ganji leafed through it briefly, but it was either he couldn't read it or it was just very plain.
It was in Draconic, but I didn't.
Okay.
I don't think I knew that much about what it was talking about, other than like about the planes and.
Yeah,
summoning
so
the thing.
when you're leafing through the thing, this is a rule that I stole from my buddy Derek. Thanks, Derek. So when you're trying to get information out of a book or a tome or something, if you're trying to do it quickly, the DC is a lot higher to get information out of it. So the longer you spend with it, the lower the DC gets. So you were briefly trying to, and that's the gaming, the metagame aspect here. And so it was very high DC.
Before I tell him what little I got out of it, can I roll an insight check to see, or can I? Basically, I'm trying to gauge his interest because he's asking fairly specific questions, and like, I just want to like, is there anything in his manner that seems suspicious or anything?
Why don't you roll an insight check?
14.
Not bad.
Well,
You think Seamus is suspicious?
17.
I do.
You guys are awful.
He could have
I
been
kinda
replaced
do
by
too.
Orpheus. We don't know.
Oh, that's true. That would be really, really awful, and I'd
They're all
probably cry a lot.
changelings.
He seems to be genuinely interested, a little scared. I think that the idea that you got from Vandris is probably that Vandris has told him of his adventures in detail, and he just seems to be more curious, and
Okay.
that he's maybe trying to live vicariously, and then also that, there does seem to be a little hint of fear in the sense that, this is heavy shit, and so I think that when he was talking earlier, it seemed like as if he wanted to make sure that there were, what was it? The scope of what he was getting himself into, effectively.
Gotcha. Okay. Then yeah, I'll share what little I gleaned from the book. from a quick reading of it.
So you shared that it was a book called The Way of the Elements. That there are 6 chapters. There was an introduction on the planes, and then one on each of the elemental planes, and then at the end there was a bit of alchemical recipes and things like that. One of which was you focused on that chapter the most, given the circles, and that's where you found that recipe. But you had really only leafed through it quickly.
I plan to look at it more when I have time.
So 2 through 5 are on the planes, and 6 was like an appendix.
Yeah.
So we're in trouble. He knows we are here, and so keep yourself safe.
I guess I'll hire another watchman.
It couldn't hurt, that's for sure.
Well, I'll put that on your tab, Andres.
Don't you always?
That I do.
Well, anyway, I think anything else you're curious about?
If things go wrong, you're gonna protect me if all my watchmen get killed, right? They have no way of knowing where we are, do they?
You know that we're very good friends and we go back a long time. I wouldn't just let anything happen to you.
And Seamus, if you see any like weird little creatures hanging about, could you let us know?
What sort of weird creatures?
Like, I don't know how you describe a homunculus, but if you see a homunculus, you would let us know.
A what?
Well, it's a homunculus. You'd know it if you saw one.
So
They fly.
a creature that looks like it would be called a homunculus.
Yeah.
They're wee small. They fly. They're white. They have a tail. You would know. You would know. It's not a seagull.
It's kind of like a devil, but not a devil.
I'll keep an eye out
You
for it.
played League of Legends. It might remind me of Teemo.
No, I don't. I don't think.
I don't know what that is.
It's remotely up
Admittedly, I don't know.
at all. Anyways, thanks for keeping an eye out. We'll make sure. Just let us know if your watchmen go missing, and we'll keep you safe.
I appreciate that.
We don't expect that to happen. But
We used a powerful spell to get back. Alright, so I guess let's go.
Okay.
So Ganji, I think on our way, can we sneakily read through the book? Can we do we have anything like wrap it in cloth so like you can read while we're walking? Or no?
I don't think a bodyguard is. I don't think it's gonna.
I guess that's
I
true.
don't think that. I don't think I'll be acting in character if I do that.
It's
but-
true.
Well, you could carry me, and I could pretend like I'm reading it, and you can just read it over my shoulder.
I wish that. It's actually not the worst idea.
I could see that.
I can cast minor illusion on it, so while we're walking, it looks like a different book. Like maybe I'm reading about peonies. I love flowers.
Her leaf frogs.
Yes.
Do they make books on that? Well, anyway,
They
let's
do-
go
they do
figure
that.
out a way to
The
read the
life
book.
and
I said I wasn't
times
much of a
the
reader.
leapfrog. So you want to do that?
Yeah,
All right.
sure, why not? Let's do it.
He's gonna carry me. I'm gonna hold the book, and I'm gonna keep casting minor illusion on it, so it looks like it says the life and times of the leaf frog on the front. And he's just gonna read it over my shoulder while we're walking.
Okay.
This is amazing.
So, are you guys going out in your noble disguises? or-
I will be, yes.
or-
I thought we tried to change closest to Noble Garden,
That's
right?
true.
Oh, okay.
So we'll
Well,
just
I
take
have-
the same.
I have my hat of disguise, so I could always use that if I needed to.
Sure. Yeah, just take the same route we did last time, a couple-hour walk, so that way he can read the book, and then when we get close to Noble Garden, we'll disguise ourselves and head back in.
Okay, so you're heading back to Wit and Whimsy.
Correct.
Do we want to stop by the Bard College? Any reason to?
I'm less concerned with talking to Prestissimo now that we know that Orpheus is here. It was more, I was hoping to speak to her because, you know, as being an entertainer and one with the bards, you know, they always have their ears to the ground, yada yada.
All right.
So I'm less concerned now.
So I
if-
wonder if she would know of any diplomatic efforts going on
Well, that's the other thing too. Obviously, all of the 7 serpents are the 7, so they work together and yada yada.
Yada yada yada. Oh, and just answering a question from the chat. This is 5th edition, so we are playing 5th edition. A little bit of homebrew rules, some mixture of rules is fun, rules is written, and the like. So you guys are heading to.
So, alright, let's go. Let's just head back. And we'll get changed as close as we can.
Agreed.
Okay, and so meanwhile, you guys are you're trying to read.
Mm-hmm.
Make a straight int check.
Both of us or just him?
Whoever's well, it's
He's
a
the one
comic,
reading
yeah.
it.
So
I'm gonna go
straight
check quick.
int check.
I just wasn't sure what it was for.
And then also make a perception check.
Can I add guidance to this? Because I say like
Yeah, if you can guidance yourself and yeah.
Not bad. 18, 19.
19, and then perception, please.
Perception. That's less good.
Oh, guidance doesn't work on it?
Well, it's only 1, and
Oh.
I wouldn't know to like. I
Right.
better cast guidance for this perception check. 14 for perception.
14. So you guys leave Pelican's Perch. You're walking along. Sylvie has transformed the book, the outside of the book, to make it look like it's a book about tree frogs. Or leaf
Leaf
frogs.
frogs,
Leaf frogs,
thank
not
you.
tree frogs, pardon me. Leaf frogs.
There's so
Big
much cuter.
difference.
Yeah, true. Which you know what they look like coming from a swamp, and there are many there. And Ganji looks over your shoulder, and she's holding it out as best she can. Why don't you do a performance check to see how convincing this is?
Oh, nice.
Nice.
25.
It's very subtle. Very subtle. So Ganji's
really good at this.
Ganji's able to read and maybe hiss at you as to turn the pages.
Like
as
a
he
pinch.
reads. And in the introduction, it is a brief overview of the elemental planes. They are the 4 within the inner planes. They are the 4 elements: air, fire, earth, and water. They are all connected in what mages and scholars believe to be similar to like a ring almost around the material plane. There are antagonistic relationships between many of the elements and the various elements, even in the borders and the areas where they might blend.
Meaning that the elements fight each other, like fire versus water. Okay.
Yeah. And basically giving you a general sense of the cosmology, a little bit more detail probably than what you would have studied at length. And as you're reading, you get towards the end, and you notice that there's a small bit written in the book in Draconic, meant to be almost of the same font and style, but an amended note that says no mention of the outer planes.
The note itself says the words.
Yeah,
no mention.
says no mention of the outer planes.
Is it written? So it's
It seems to be an annotation.
okay. That's what I was trying to ask. Okay, and it was written in Draconic. Interesting.
Meaning that somebody made a note in it, not the author of the book.
Someone made a note. It seems to be a different style of ink.
Would we know what the outer planes are?
Ganji, make a religion or arcana check.
Oh, fuck. 9.
You would know that vaguely that things like gods and devils and stuff come from the outer planes.
Okay. So this says to me, and let me know if this is what is something that I would plausibly think.
Do
of.
it in character.
Well, I'm saying I'm not necessarily
okay.
going to say this out
Yeah,
loud.
sure,
to everyone.
sure.
But so basically,
Do it in character anyway.
right? Yeah. basically, so what this is saying to me is someone, possibly Orpheus, was making annotations in this book as he was reading it, trying to look for references to the Outer Planes, but trying to disguise that he was annotating the book.
That's a pretty good assumption.
Okay. Alright.
Pretty good assumption.
Alright. So we just find out a bit about the planes and stuff. Okay. Well, it looks like
Do we want to talk about this outside? I love tree frogs. But I just love leaf frogs so much more. I keep holding the book.
sometimes there are leaf frogs that come from the inner parts of the swamp, and some leaf frogs that come from the outer part of the swamp.
Actually, you know, like I don't want to like correct you or anything, but I've never seen leaf frogs outside of the swamp.
I never
I'm pretty
knew that.
sure. Well, that's because he's a dragon and he's wrong. So, but I mean, what do I know? Lumi still can't find a damn leaf frog.
She's doing her best. Her humble best.
So let's find some place to kind of steal away and get changed.
So I can tell you more about leaf frogs?
Aye.
Wonderful.
What you said. So yeah, why don't we find somewhere like stealthy,
Or just, can we just go to the end? And,
or we can just wait until we're at the end. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Quit and whimsy.
I mean, I'm assuming I'm reading this book as
Yeah,
we're walking,
as we're
so
walking.
it shouldn't be like...
That's why I had to perform.
Right.
Right. Oh, on the way, since it's on the way, can we swing by
You
the?
failed your death
So yeah, you're probably by the time you get to that, you probably are finishing as you get to the end. We'll say.
Okay.
Or towards
okay,
the end.
okay,
Towards
okay.
the
Yeah.
end. We'll say.
I'm sorry, I was trying to keep
Yeah.
you from spewing things out in the middle of
Would we
the
pass? Is it ever convenient to go out back and then, or would we go straight through Amber Dock to get to Noble Garden normally?
It'd be up to you guys. It would be quicker going streets that you know.
Never mind. Then let's just-
Ducking through alleyways would probably be quicker to just
Okay.
go straight there.
So that's what we did.
And we'll change in the same place we did last time.
Yeah, just we probably
anyone
have
who hasn't
some
changed
sleazy, dirty little alleyway that we use, right?
So
Always.
you guys find the sleazy, dirty alleyway to steal away, and everyone. And then we'll say that Ganji finishes the chapter when you get to that point, around that time.
Okay.
And so everyone make a group stealth check just to change into costume stealthily.
We're changing into our
Well, I did
noble
mine
garb
before we
for the
left.
stream.
Okay, so you're already in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what are the rules of that?
So it makes sense that he's carrying me around.
You're not disadvantaged because it's not about movement.
Yes.
Okay.
You're just
23.
So, my first roll was 15.
9.
The second roll was 14, so...
9?
I got a 16.
23.
I got a stealth. 7.
Okay. Despite making a lot of noise, Angela and Rodek are struggling to pull on their clothes. All of the excitement bloated them. You managed to get on your finery, Rodek and Anulin. There does seem to be a little bit of smudges and dirt. They don't really look as pristine as they used to. And in your difficulty, you roughed them up a little bit.
I'm gonna prestidigitation them both so they look a little cleaner.
Okay. They look pristine.
Lovely.
I look beautiful.
This is a magic grade. This is a magic grade, ladies and gentlemen.
And hand wavy.
And hand waving.
I love magic.
Okay.
So...
So you guys finish your journey. No, it's still a little cloudy. The clouds have started to part a little bit, but it's still kind of a dreary day. People aren't as out and about as you've been used to when it's been sunny. As you make your way into the Wit and Whimsy, you see the common area has a bit more people than you expect, spending time inside. You see maybe some visiting dignitaries, perhaps, and just people that are very well dressed, having what seem like very haughty conversations.
Haughty. Trash. So, how private do we think these rooms are?
I would assume probably pretty safe. I
So
mean,
they're
we
pretty
can't
safe.
know for sure, but
haven't
I
seen
would
that,
assume
no.
that if people are paying a lot of money to be here and it's a very wealthy place, that people probably have the privacy that they pay for.
Okay, perfect. So I turn to Ganji and I say, Farnham, why don't we take the lords and ladies to their rooms?
Sounds like a plan.
Carlo, that's a lovely idea. But can we stop and talk to the strange lady at the desk just to see if my suitor has called for me?
I suppose. So just like forethought, I just pick you up without you asking me, and I walk you over to the lady. And I'm
Oh,
just
he's
staying up
learning so quickly.
The elderly female dwarf perks up as you approach. Like, oh, hello, dearie. Enjoying your stay?
I am so much, thank you. I was wondering, has anyone come by and left any messages for myself, Antonitis, or Mademoiselle?
Ooh, I believe we do have secret admirers.
Oh,
Let me go fetch in the Mary.
can't wait. Oh my
Jeez.
gosh, Carlisle, do you think it's him? Do you think it's that dwarf whose name I don't remember or know or something? He was drunk, it was dark. Do you think it was
Barnabas.
him? Barnabas, thank you, Antonitis.
Let me check my notes. Rodek pulls out the Alliance team notebook. I think it was Barnabas. It's probably him.
Oh, I sure hope so.
I'm like tapping my foot in midair. I can't make a noise.
Just like
So,
Yeah.
so she comes back after shuffling away into a side room and brings back 3 different letters marked to Antonitis, Mademoiselle, and Blue.
Oh, letters. I just love it.
And she hands them. She's like, "Ooh, well, enjoy your correspondence."
Thank you so much. Carlisle, to the room.
Aye. So I walk you up the stairs. I don't put you down.
Thank
She yells out after Carlisle, "Don't drag dirt up there!"
I pause for a little bit, stomp my boots, and then just
I
keep
passed
walking.
a meditation, you.
Yeah, but not my boots.
I did it earlier.
Yeah, I probably stepped in horse shit and all this
Classic Morg.
I'm sorry. I'm too noble right now.
Right.
I care.
I kick some dirt
I'm
off
just
my
looking
feet.
at-
I stepped very carefully up the stairs.
To the room.
You guys make it to the room. You have whichever room you decide to hang out in. You have
The biggest
door.
one.
They're both the same size. So you go into one of the
One of
rooms, one of them, and shut the door behind you. No one's around.
I'm going to look at Lou's notes, and I'll pass everyone else there.
Fill us in. So yeah, why not? Everybody can read their notes while Ganji fills us in very quietly and whispers.
So
if you want to be quiet.
Yeah. Relatively quiet.
So the notes basically are just correspondence of the people that you have procured the dates with, arranging that they'll come and fetch you at the for the 2 ladies, they'll come and fetch you on the day of the masquerade at I guess we'll say at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. the day of the masquerade. You, yours from Eldraine Swansong, and yours from Barnabas Bogbaron.
Yes!
And
I'm
then
about to be Sylvie Bogbaron, boy.
Antonitis.
Yes.
By the way, my name's Sylvie.
Antonitis's letter provided the information of where he could fetch Miss Seastar at her estate, her manor, somewhere in Noble Garden. And
I'm so
also
ready.
At 5 p.m. It seems to be the standard.
You said Bog Baron?
Bogbaron.
B-A-R-O-N?
Yes.
Got it.
Barnabas Bogbaron. Sylvie's new boo.
So do they just all live in Noble Garden
I'm
somewhere?
gonna call him Boo Baron.
There's the only
Amazing.
people who gave away where they lived was Pearl.
Got it. And she lives in Noble Garden.
Yes.
I wonder what the protocol is for this. I wonder if the ladies would take their own escorts. As far as Rodek and I.
Well, I imagine we would at least try. A lady of my station would never be seen alone with a man.
Let's
Yeah, I think
And
we
all
need
know
like
a dwarf and a dragon
chaperone.
are not men.
Not technically, I suppose, but neither is anybody else here. But
No,
if we're going Tolkien
I'm a
on
gnome.
this. Right.
Yes.
I was agreeing with you.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I don't have to fire you.
Well, thank you.
That would be unfortunate.
Speaking of which, the circus.
Oh, no.
Screw all you guys. Anyway.
We'll take the horn for you, and we'll keep it very safe.
Running away to the circus, guys. The circus. So
So yeah, anyway, I imagine that we would each, we would have someone with us to, keep us safe and make sure we're not absconded with.
And do we know how many days that is? That's 4 days?
4 days.
The day after you get your new armor.
Okay. That's, again, convenient.
So, I guess
Easier storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. Easier to keep track of things.
Thank you, Dungeon Master.
So I guess one of us will accompany each of them, and Vendrus will do something. I don't know.
So I have a question. In this world, like, you know how like back in the day some nobles would, or I don't know, would they do this? Wouldn't they like carry swords around with them? Aren't there like noble swords that like people can't carry by
there
their
might be
sides?
like a saber or rapier or
Yeah.
something, like a decorative, more of a decorative.
Yeah, like
a dress
dressing
sword.
one.
Like,
not
like,
So-
like,
But I mean, would it be out of line then for someone who is rich to just, instead of carrying their own sword, bring muscle along, like ornately dressed
Yeah,
muscles,
at a
like
masquerade,
our
they
guards?
wouldn't have anything like that.
well, no, what I mean is that
Unless
we could
you're
go with
Vandal.
you, but if Vandrus could have like a
Well-
decorative rapier by his side, he'd at least.
I mean, I also was smuggling the daggers.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That was my game plan, to just
and
keep
I
them
figured
hidden on
we
my
would
person.
split up in the sense that one of you would go with Mademoiselle and the
Right.
other would
Yes,
come
yeah,
with me.
of course.
Okay.
Agreed.
Just.
Just
Mademoiselle.
Just
Yes.
Mademoiselle.
Yes.
The leather was addressed to Mademoiselle J. Mademoiselle.
Oh,
Just
that-
unbelievably amazing.
He's a cool dude. So I guess what Ganji tells us about the book.
yeah, I tell you about the book. I probably go into a little too much boring detail about what the book says because of who I am as a person. But I do mention my suspicions about that Orpheus is probably looking for something in the outer planes, and judging from this book, it looks like he didn't get it from this. So these experiments that we are looking at are probably okay. Did it look like the circles or whatever with the corpses inside them? Did it look like they were? Was there something in the book that like directly resembled that, or did it look like he was like taking stuff from the book and like mixing it together to do his own thing?
Oh, that's a good.
You were able to gather. You have to like. You were able to gather at a glance that the main focus was the combination of the 4 elements in the reagent to draw the transmutation circles, or the magical circles.
But the tadpoles weren't in the book.
Oh,
Titles were
no,
not-
I would know. I
You,
would
I
assume-
mean, yeah, you weren't. I mean, maybe hidden in there. You haven't really read the whole thing, but not in the section that Ganji had immediately seen, as far as the outcome of all.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what I'm trying to think of is whether he was using some combination of all 4 elements to try to access a different element, a different plane, like an outer plane, like using the inner to find the outer. And I relay these guesses, making it clear that they're guesses
Okay.
to the party, but saying that the outer planes are his goal, and what I know of the outer planes being where gods and demons and stuff of more or less malevolence reside. So,
So, 2 things. One, is there anyone in this city that we trust reading this book? And
Yes. Ganji.
Is there anyone else that we trust to read this book?
Well, the only person that I trust with my life would be Seamus, and as he already said, is not a very
Not
big
to
reader.
read it. So, and the only one that would be able to make sense of this would be Alphonse.
anyone else we show this book to, we're taking a risk. It's a calculated risk, but I've been known to be bad at math.
Did you stop after the first chapter just so I have full...
I mean, I would have kept reading as far as I could have.
So we'll
As
just
far
say
as I had
you finished like the first chapter, which gives the full rundown. Like given reading over Sylvie's shoulder, and then the next chapter it's water, fire, air, earth.
Okay, so I'll say, so basically, this is only the first chapter. At least for tonight, I would like to keep the book in my possession so I can continue reading it and read hopefully the rest of the book and see if there's any more insights to be gleaned. But this is what I know so far.
I mean, what more do we really have to do until the masquerade?
2 things.
Okay.
Well, that's
So
two
anyway,
things, so
let
let's do
me
the two-
finish my point.
Okay.
So we could do 2 things with this. 1, find out where he got the book.
That's a great
Did
idea.
he get it from the city? Is there a library somewhere? And where would he have gotten it from? 2nd, we know that he's wants to learn more about the outer planes. So
We could go there.
so we could go there, or Vandrus, would there be somewhere in the city that would deal in gods and devils and things like that?
Well, I would imagine the Belfry would probably be our best bet, which is the religious district. There are plenty of temples and churches all through that area.
But
Right.
are there any places of learning? I just worry that a church in particular, I don't know how open they will be to more practical than theological discussions that don't concern their primary mode of worship. If you understand.
And what are we really
Actually, I don't know if I'd know that, Mike. I don't think you gave me any information on that.
I'm not sorry.
Where would we go
If
Oh, that was just more of a rhetorical question. Honestly.
yeah, I'm saying I don't know though. The information I have doesn't say whether or not there would be places of learning within the Belfry.
Yeah, because
I would suspect, but that's just me making an assumption as a player.
yeah, just saying that I don't know how useful. Like, I don't know how done it would be to walk into a church and say, "Hey, Abbot," and then yeah.
I think you can make being a cleric. You could make the assumption if it's mostly temples and shrines and churches that the people that are there are mainly focused in their own god. They might know a lot about the gods that they worship, but as far and Vandrus may have not spent a whole lot of time there. But the idea is just that there wouldn't just be a place like this is the place to go for all the plans. Like there's no
Right.
like here's the
That's what I
main
mean.
point.
This is a fairly a specific and obscure topic.
Yeah.
For
Right.
Raymond.
You know, and I agree with Gamgee on that, especially considering we don't really know what to ask about the planes.
Right.
So it's
So
like,
I
what
don't
are we
mean
gonna do?
we
Go there
ask
and
about
be like,
things,
hey.
we look for
Tell us
Orpheus.
all about the plan.
Like, why do you think you're just gonna be hanging out in the Belfry?
He might be disguised with magic, and you have your little wand to detect magic.
Yes, I could walk around the entire town with my little wand trying to detect
It
magic.
only lasts 10
I'm
minutes.
just saying, we have,
Right? 10 minutes? Yeah.
we have
So 30.
4 days until I get to see the love of my life.
Barnabas Bog Possum.
Yes, thank you, Barnabas.
Amazing.
Something. And
Blueberry.
yeah, blueberry. And so, do we even know, Mademoiselle? Do we even know what we're gonna dress like? I mean, I have to look glorious.
Girl, no.
We have to go shopping.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Like, okay, I
I'm
understand.
feeling like an
if you
Edie's
wanna-
montage coming on.
Look, I understand if you want to wander around and ask stupid questions to people who don't trust you and have them turn you away. But I think I need to buy a new dress.
question. Or go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When we were in the museum, they had stuff about the planes in the museum, if I remember. Did we see any books? Did they have any books on display?
There didn't seem to be anything. It was more like the artifacts, the weapons, the bas reliefs, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
You may have seen like a really old book, but as far as like something that you actually pick out and read,
Nothing like
Yeah.
this book.
yeah, no.
Okay. I was just trying to see if like maybe he did the old switcheroo. But it sounds like that's not.
So, have we seen any like libraries? I feel like we haven't talked about.
Libraries, plenty of libraries.
Probably in the Apollonian.
Would it be here, the Apollonian?
Hemisphere. Yeah.
So,
So you're gonna go to a library now and look through every single book to see if you can find its sister?
Well, I do. One of my background features is I know where to find knowledge. No, I mean, basically, yeah, I would take the book and go into a library and say, hey, I'm looking for this as a cross-reference to other things, and see if they have something relevant.
But what if this book in itself is something that we shouldn't be showing anyone?
right.
I
You
don't.
walk in
I
and
don't
you say
disagree.
that, and then all of a sudden there's a target on your
So
head.
we don't show it. We ask for it, and if it was
But then
checked
isn't
out,
that kind of suspicious?
they don't know.
You don't know that.
If they have it in stock, then
I wouldn't.
it's available.
I wouldn't be opposed to just walking through the stacks of a library anyway. I'm hoping that if I have that background feature, I at least can figure out the Dewey Decimal System.
Background feature to the decimal system.
Actually, no. Like, actually, that's actually what the stage background is.
Literally.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming I can at least vaguely know my way around the library. I know my way around the library.
My point just being is I feel like at this point, the best thing that we can do is get this book to Huey Hewerston LeBlanc.
It's about right. It's about right.
And so if we can get this to Huey, then maybe he can answer the question for us. Am I right, Vandress?
It's possible.
So
I just don't know if I trust him.
I don't trust anybody. But
That's what I'm saying. It's
except for my
calculated risk.
husband. But isn't that the plan? Like, that's why we're doing the masquerade. That's why we're doing all of this, is to
Right.
talk to him.
I agree.
Yes.
So, like, wouldn't it make more sense to just bide our time, not get into any trouble? Like, sure, go look around the library, but we don't need to keep hounding people. You pick up your armor, and then we go to this masquerade and see what happens.
Agreed.
I would say, let me study this book a little on my own. Then, if we have time before the masquerade happens, then we can poke around on our own in the library and not draw too much attention.
I would say let's just keep our eyes and ears open and our toes, and then we'll see if we, think of anything.
I'm told you will see more with your eyes closed.
That's true. That squirrel looks familiar.
So, anyways, why don't we? Do we have anything else to do here?
Well, I think that Mademoiselle and I do need to get outfits, because I have no idea. We can't just show up like ourselves.
So why don't you go shopping?
You go to
You go to the library. I'll go to the circus, and Vandress, you do you, buddy.
Is there like a shopping district?
Antonidas needs an outfit
I mean,
too.
Antonidas. I'm sorry.
Antonidas needs, because he has to have masks.
Oh,
He has to
right, the
have
masks.
Well, so I can wear my fine clothes, but I just have to get a cool
He has
mask.
to have a mask.
Well, hold on though. Hold on. You've been wearing the same clothes every day.
Well, I changed the color of it.
Are you prestidigitationing
I'm
this?
not a heathen.
Is that yes?
Yeah.
Are you doing it for them?
No, but I can.
Oh, I throw him in a corner. Can I roll a con save?
Well, I prestidigitation
no, but-
this morning.
Is there like a formal shopping district in
I mean, we
here?
could ask
Yeah,
the
the
lady.
scales.
We could ask the lady at the
The
counter
scales.
too, where the place.
Well, why don't we
ask
go
the guy.
there under the guise of shopping for whatever and see if there's any bookstores and see
Yeah.
maybe if someone sold a book recently
Yeah. All right.
That's a great idea.
and also spend lots of money on dresses.
Yes, of course.
So you guys buy
So,
clothes.
Is Antonius
The,
coming
the
with
three
us?
of you
Yeah.
go buy clothes
Girls
from the
trip.
stores.
But you
She'll
still
go
have
to
to
the
be
library.
close because it has to
I'm
look
right-
like you're.
I'm right here.
I'm just saying. You have
I'm going to the
look.
circus. Okay.
They still
You
need a
have to
body.
look. Yeah. 'Cause you
Okay,
have to
fine.
look
I'll
like
go
you're
with you
wrong.
guys, and I'll be a bodyguard. That's
Thank you. Stand outside looking brutish.
fine. All right, I can do that.
That's what your face looks like all the time.
And carry our bags around too.
Yeah. And rub my
Yeah.
feet when I get tired.
Okay, so I'm going to bring a change of. Oh shit. What would I do with my armor?
I'm making a drink. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Honestly, it might make more sense that you stay in character.
Well, as Mademoiselle said, There may be some bookstores. But you guys don't have to be at the shop with us, but at least be in the scales with us, so that if I have to scream really loudly, you can come to my aid.
Okay.
But you guys could check out one of the bookstores and see if you can find any idea of a book like this being sold, or if they carry it, or if there are robberies.
And I do have some reading to do in the meantime, so I can read while Rodek is his usual charming self, as he's wont to do.
Well, we don't want the cover of the book out in the open, so we need to find a way to cover it up.
We have cloth, right? We have nice cloth. Do we have silk? I think we literally have like silk.
We're in a hotel room. There's cloth in the hotel.
Yeah, it's like a filthy handkerchief. Or will that be suspicious?
Yeah, I mean, I just think we should make it look like a different book, or like, well, we could use some parchment and we can just give it a book cover.
Sure.
Alright.
Alright.
So I give you parchment.
Yeah, I have parchment.
Okay, you
I'm
have
a
parchment.
noble. I make him a little book cover. I draw a tree frog. Or a
So it's
frog
like
on
it's like in grade school when you
It
like
looks like
covered
that,
your textbooks with the brown paper.
Well, let's be honest. If I'm a bodyguard, I'm not going to be able to afford the best of books.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. All right. Shall we go?
Okay.
Let's go.
You guys head out and
Oh, sorry. I wanted to check with the lady at the front. We can just do this passively. Just see if she knew of a place where, if he does these masquerades often, like if there's a shop people go to purchase their stuff. Basically saying like, I don't want to be wearing the same outfit as someone else, so I need to make sure that I'm going to the right shop.
are you looking for a custom number?
Oh, maybe. I just don't want to look like all the other beautiful ladies at the ball. Masquerade.
Paper is
Well, I strongly recommend the Threads of Fate in Noble Garden.
Ooh.
You could go to the scales, but that's where the common folk shop.
Well, if I wanted to be different, and I wanted to shop in the scales, because I'm adventurous, where would I go?
Well, I hear tell of a place called Mage Weave. That's quite popular.
Gross.
That's all I got.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll be able to use one of those places.
The threads of fate, you said.
Well, now we're screwed.
imbued netherweave then.
Thanks for that, Mage.
Yeah, that's what I got. Danji, can you please, so you're reading this whole time?
Yeah,
Could you
with
please,
guidance, because
with guidance, make a straight int check? And you're taking your time.
Yeah, because now I have all the time, so I'm just gonna read it as slow as I need to. But the int check is 17.
Well, did you want to stay up in the room and do it?
I can
Because
do
we
that
only
too.
need one bodyguard
That's true.
right now. So do you want to
But he was
just
gonna look
stay?
at books and shit,
You
right?
can go do that.
Well, if
He's
if
just
I'm not
reading.
going to the library, it doesn't really matter.
And then you can do the library tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll stay back in their room because comfort, and read the book.
You're protecting my
Yeah.
things.
And it was a 17.
Okay,
And
so
I'm gonna leave Lumi with you, so that way if you
Okay.
need to get us a message,
Sure.
we've got her. Or she's got me.
Yep.
So-
I also have sending too. Yeah. No, Lumi's best.
Spell slot.
Yep.
So you read through and you get a general gist of the plain water, that it's comprised of enormous, basically a single enormous ocean called the Sea of Worlds. There's a place in it called the Citadel of 10,000 Pearls. There are various areas. It borders both the elemental plane of air and the elemental plane of earth. And you learn about some various creatures from there, like Kraken, Morkoth, dragon turtles, and the like. But through your reading, you actually find a series of notes.
Okay. I was gonna say I keep an eye out for
written-
notes now that I've noticed one.
Yeah, now that you notice it, you've written in the margins.
Okay.
And so I will read those to you now.
Gotcha.
So at the beginning of the chapter,
Mhm.
when it's giving you a breakdown of the elemental plane of water, it has a little note scribbled that says "Consult Diadra," It's D-I-A-D-R-A. There is
Yeah, I got you, fam.
there is a mention of
Diadra. Sorry, spell that again.
D-I-A-D-R-A.
Diadra.
Whatever the translation in Dragons or Comic.
How do you what? D what?
Diadra.
And you guys don't know this, but Gandhi does. But he'll say
Anyway.
What was the other thing that it said? No mention of the outer planes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I just
No, it's
forgot
fine.
to write that.
I like note taking. I encourage note taking.
Yeah, I should start bringing a notebook.
I have one upstairs if you want it.
In a passage, it talks about traveling between the planes.
Okay.
Sailors getting lost at sea and ending up in the plain water and what they believe about that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little note that says, "Can its power be increased?" Question mark. Umberlee? Question mark. Umberlee? Question mark.
Sounds like a name.
UMB what?
E-R-L-E-E.
Okay. That's a
There is also passage in the various creatures. There is a subtle underline of the Draconic word for dragon turtle, and there's a little note that says, "A gift fit for a king."
Okay.
And that's the water chapter. That's for the notes in the water chapter.
How long do I take to read each chapter, do you think?
I would say with each chapter, it would probably to like get the full knowledge. It'd probably take you like maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
An hour, we'll say.
So-
We'll say an hour per chapter.
Alright.
We'll be out and about while you're reading, probably.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm just gonna keep reading as long as I can while they're doing their thing. So
So it'll
they
be a
can-
nice like break
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
forth
So you guys can
before
do your
doing-
thing, and then we'll see if I get another
I
chapter.
like it.
Okay. Where were you guys heading again?
Well, we have a problem. We should probably check out the Threads of Fate if we want glorious dresses.
If we have the money for it.
Well, somebody just spent like 3,000 gold.
No,
so
who would have done that? We don't have
I
much
don't know.
left.
We just need beautiful dresses. Just
So
give me
let's
the
go.
something.
Let's go.
Yes,
Let's
please.
go.
And then we can go to the scales.
All right.
Yes.
Wait, where are we going? I wasn't
Oh yeah.
paying
So
attention.
there is a the front desk lady basically said that if we wanted like custom beautiful things, we could do
Which
it,
I do.
of course, which is at the Threads
Oh,
of
baby.
Fate in the Noble Garden. But she said, if
Ooh,
we
I
wanted
like that.
something
It's like
a little
Hercules.
less, we could go to Mage Weave in the Scales. So I think we need to check out Threads of Fate.
We can start there.
Yeah.
So let's go.
So because we need fancy dresses, right, Kels? We need
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's like that. Let's do it.
Okay. You make your way to the where she gave you the directions to the Threads of Fate. It is a huge shop for Noble Garden. Multiple stories, probably 3 or 4. It's painted in this beautiful, almost like a seafoam green, a mint green. On the outside, there is an ornately carved spool of thread that weaves its way all around the top of the door. And you see nobles going in and out. There's quite a bit of excitement and chatter. You can probably guess that they are excited for the masquerade coming up. People are leaving with large bags and boxes and crates full of fine threads and masks and the like.
The
They're
cosplayer
all
in me is about to pass out.
delightfully packaged.
I just love it. I just need a moment. Mademoiselle, take my hand. Let's go.
Yes, dear.
Catch me if I faint.
I can
I'll
do that.
certainly try. You'll probably be on the floor before I would notice, but
High perception.
That's fair enough. So we'll go in.
Okay. You make your way in and you find incredibly ornate, beautiful dresses, outfits for both men and women, and also of varying races and varying sizes, hence the size of the store. It seems to be fully stocked all the way around. There is a spiral staircase that goes up in the middle of it. You can see the open, the floors are all open on the inside around that spiral staircase. You can see chattering nobles excitedly discussing and picking out things, going to try things on, big armfuls of threads and the like. And what do you want to do?
I'm following them.
Do you guys have a preference of where you'd like to go first, or?
Well, I certainly have zero fashion sense, so I'm gonna rely on the ladies to.
What do you want to dress up as? Do you want to be? Ooh, you could be a bat. Maybe that's too apropos. You could be a. You could be a kitten.
Well, is this a masquerade or a costume party?
What's a masquerade? So we have to have masks.
Oh, okay, so like a
Masks or
kitten
something.
mask. I like a kitten mask for you. I'm feeling kitten on you right now. It's so hot. Okay, is there like a front desk clerk lady?
There is a front desk. There is a perky-looking, well-dressed woman. She's completely made up and caked in makeup, wearing some of the fineries. And as you go up, she says, like, "Well, hey, can I help you?"
Yes, dear. We're here to shop for the masquerade.
That is wonderful. Everyone's here to shop for the masquerade.
I assumed. Well, dear, we are new in town and we're not up with the current fashions of this area. What would you recommend that we wear?
Well, purple's very in these days. And then if you're going to wear a mask, don't wear a frog, especially a leaf frog. Those are very out.
Oh, that's tragic.
I hate you so much.
That is tragic.
Perchance, did a gentleman, an elven gentleman, come in by the name of Eldorain? Did he come in and purchase anything for the masquerade?
I don't remember anyone, but there's a lot of people that come and visit.
Well, aren't you helpful? I suppose we'll look around.
Well, enjoy. Bats are in these days.
So,
Just doesn't like this.
Carlisle.
I'd pick her up. And I guess shove her in the person's face.
My name is Lou. You're so pretty.
Oh, thank you. So are you.
Thank you. Oh. Your makeup is gorgeous.
I try.
Now, obviously, you see a lot of people here. I would like to look different from everyone else. I'm meeting up with a Barnabas.
Let me check my hand notebook. Barnabas Bogbear.
I am
Bog possum.
a Barnabas Bogbaron, and I would like to look extra special. And as a gnome, obviously, I can get lost in a crowd. I was looking at being a leaf frog, but apparently that's not the thing. I was hoping that someone as lovely as you would have an idea of something I could wear that would make me pop.
And I use like prestidigitation to do purple like sparkles around myself and smile.
But what animals are you thinking?
Really anything. I think you're so pretty. I'm quite enamored by you, and I would value your opinion greatly if you had an idea of what I would look beautiful in.
Well, we have. If you want to pop, we do have frogs, just not leaf frogs.
No, that's at least close. Do you have something like maybe if you could imagine a possum that like spreads its wings and flies from tree to tree with a fluffy tail and big ginormous eyes?
I think we may have a regular possum. I don't know about a flying possum.
Okay, I'll look around. Thanks, honey. You're beautiful. Put me down, Carlisle.
Right away.
I'm gonna look with them.
She's a tough one.
she?
I don't know. I thought maybe if I complimented her, she would give me some help, but she didn't.
I don't know why you need help to pick a mask.
Well, because I wanted
We were
to
trying to match our fellas, you big oaf.
Yeah, and she wouldn't tell me whether he bought anything. She didn't even seem like she knew him. What if he's just a drunkard? But on top of that, now I can't be a leaf frog. And I had other reasons, and I don't remember what they are anymore.
Alright, well, why don't we get shopping then?
Okay.
I want to be a hippo. Do they have one of those?
It's fairly fitting.
Want to be a hippo?
The graceful water cow.
You look around. You don't find a hippo. You do
Aw.
find an elephant and a rhinoceros. They're more of the popular exotic Nekapeshan animals.
Mm.
I'm gonna go up and talk to her. I'm sorry. I have another question. Do you guys do custom orders?
We do.
What would be the price for a hippo in an elf size?
Do you have a picture of a hippo?
It's gray. It's like if you think
She's
of
taking it down.
if you think of a water cow, but like a graceful water cow with nostrils the size of my head and teeth the size of his fists. Or maybe not. Maybe the size is wrong. But big teeth. Am I doing this right, mademoiselle?
And teeny tiny little ears.
Yes.
She's taking all of this down.
Well, what is the cost for that?
I'll have to ask Mr. Langreach. Do you want one for your flying possum?
No. I think I would like, so a tree frog is this frog that, it's a leaf frog, and he looks like he's made of leaves. Do you have a, well, you're not you. I have a picture. It's a mental picture I'm gonna provide you.
Can you show them that under the camera so Andy and Kelsey can see it?
What the hell is
Can you
that?
see it? Oh,
You might have to.
there we go.
Wait. Is that what you want?
That's just a frog, so I'm gonna see if she can make me that frog.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Perfect.
And are you just gonna be a bat?
So, Vandris is out of character. Never one to not showboat just a little bit, and now that he has the identity, I suppose, of the bat cloak, I would like to incorporate something. Maybe not just like a straight up bat, but I would go for something like ornate, but like not overly flashy. Kind of classic, but like having the shape of a bat, or like lending itself to be bat-like.
So we do have a variety of bat masks. It's quite popular, popularized by Alphonse LeBlanc. But if you would like a custom one, we can do that as well.
That would you guys are getting custom ones, right?
Yeah.
Depends on the price.
I think custom is the way that Vandris would roll. So yes, custom, please.
So, and with my mask, so obviously frogs have very large eyes. Is there a way to incorporate little lenses so my eyes look gigantic when I wear a mask? Filigree, of course. Filigree, beautiful, with very large eyes.
That might be extra.
I
I
assume
don't
so.
think we need that.
Excuse me,
Alright. So speaking of help, have you been to one of these masquerades
Are
before?
you comfortable with my help addressing you?
It's unusual, but
Well, I'm escorting these fine lords and ladies to the masquerade, and I want to make sure I'm not out of place. Is the help at the masquerade usually in masks as well?
the personal help is required to wait outside. The Sea Eagles provide all of the security at the event.
That's good to know. All right. Well, thank you.
So she takes down all your information, and
Well, do you have a ram mask by chance? In a dwarven size?
we have large ram masks.
Lovely. And do you have a,
Perhaps a lizard mask?
No, mademoiselle, that's a nice idea, but no. I'm thinking,
Okay.
can you handle dragonborn?
We have masks for all faces, and we can make custom.
Oh, wonderful. Do you have a ladybug mask?
Ladybugs are popular among the ladies of the
We would definitely need both a ram and a dwarven size and a ladybug and a dragonborn size. Male. Dragonborn.
That might have to be custom.
That's fine.
Okay, let me tally this up.
Please let us afford this. Please let us be able to afford this. We have 1,300 gold.
We better make sure they can get it done before the
Oh,
next week.
I'm assuming you'd be able to get it done by the masquerade.
A rush order will be an extra fee.
Of course. Of course.
With a bulk rate of 5 masks, I could probably do 200 gold.
That's wonderful. Do it.
Shoot.
And I'm handed 200 gold.
Hold on.
Excuse me, help.
Guards, I don't believe we addressed you.
I look up from my book, walk over to a corner, throw up, and go back and continue reading my book.
Okay, Mickey Mouse girl just nods at you and calls for help to come to you. It
Is
happens a
that
lot.
order going to be delivered to us, or do we need to pick it up?
Well, where are you staying? We can provide some delivery. It's free delivery.
Wonderful. We're at the Witten Whimsy.
Okay, which room?
Do we know the numbers of our rooms?
Yeah, whatever. Just,
Yes,
yeah.
I'll
Yes,
just
we do.
I forgot.
I say my room number.
Yeah, you're 27.
It's under the name of Lou.
27.
L-O-O.
I forgot. We'll have those over the morning of the masquerade.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
And do we pay upon delivery?
She handed
Yeah.
her the gold.
Is that just the mask, or are we paying for the costume?
No, it's just a mask. You didn't pick out any outfits.
Motherfucker.
Oh, I thought we were in our fine clothes. Unless you guys want to do something extra special.
What would it cost to get the costumes for these?
Costume? You mean matching outfits? Complimentary outfits?
Well, yeah, where I'm from, we call them costumes.
These don't resemble.
Are you trying to tell me I'm wrong?
No, ma'am. No, she starts sweating. Nervously.
Please don't beat me.
I can help guide you to appropriate outfits.
Lovely. What would the cost be to add in the dresses and the male garb?
For them as well?
No, they're... Ooh! Never for him. But for the dwarf and the dragonborn ladybug. Yes.
I don't want her to know that I'm getting them our guards' outfits.
So, our outfits run about $50 or 50 gold a person.
One moment, please. Do we want to do this?
Absolutely.
So hold on. While I
You are a guard, and you have no choice.
We're gonna be wearing armor though. I hope.
Put it on under. So what would be what's 5 times 50? 250 gold. Holy shit! All right, we'll do it.
We have had so much out of character. We've had so much gold this entire adventure. I kind of like just blowing it all.
Yeah.
Like, let's be realistic. We've been rich, like loaded this whole game.
Okay, 15. Done. Okay. We're good.
So,
And I can keep this forever.
So anyway, I think you may be forgetting, but I wanted to check because I think I heard something the other day. Does Lord Bogbaron have an account here?
not that I know of.
All right, never mind.
You're a terrible person.
Was just checking. I thought he might say that. Never mind.
I could go look in the back and see if he does have one.
You if you could look, that'd be great.
She goes,
If we were in a shittier part of town, I'd say we should steal everything and run.
there's a bunch of other attendants and the like.
Oh, okay,
around.
alright.
Yeah, it's very bustling. And she goes to a back room and she comes back. And, she says, oh, well, it actually does turn out there is a Mr. Bogbaron.
Oh, well, that's good news because he actually he will be attending these fine lords and ladies at the masquerade, and as a welcome present, he asked us to put all of this on his account.
Oh, well, do you have any proof that you know Mr.
I
Bogdan?
don't. It was at a nightclub, and it was a verbal contract.
Make
Wait. Oh shit. Damn it. No, keep going.
a deception check.
I mean, I do have the letter he sent to me at the Wit and Lindsay. I carry it on my person at all times because I'm pretty sure we're to be wed soon.
Oh, well, to be wed. Congratulations.
Thank you. He hasn't asked yet. It's just a feeling I get.
Let me see the wax seal on that.
Sure, and I hand her my letter.
She goes and you make a deception check. Yeah, you guys just be making constant deception checks.
Should I also
This
make
is
one?
so-
Natural 20 plus whatever my
Plus
deception is, which is 24.
15 for me.
She looks at it, and it seems to be the emblem of a catfish, and it. Oh, this matches his wax seal. Congratulations, you'll add it to his account. Here's
Thank
your
you,
gold
I
back.
appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you so
I
much.
just wanted to
I'm
remind you.
I'm so-
I know.
I have too much on my mind to remember these trivial
Lots of
things.
drinks were going around.
Come
I
on.
understand. I
You
was
should have
stone
spoken
cold.
up sooner.
I was trying to stay
We
my place.
wasted
Well, he's well trained. He
I'm
knows his
purely
place.
the help.
Alright, I'll
Anyways,
add,
thank you.
Uh,
I don't know why I'm-
She says you're welcome, and for the sake of brevity, she helps you pick out outfits that match the masks that you have custom ordered. A silvery grayish bit for Annulin.
It's a really big, poofy gray
A
one
big poofy gray one.
with little sparkly beads to emulate water droplets on my hide.
Lord. Unbelievable.
Well,
A custom order on Mr. Bogdan's account.
Thank you, dear.
That'll be delivered on the same morning.
water droplets on my eye.
Okay.
wait, did we get 5 outfits or just?
Yeah, we
3?
got 2. I got one for you guys too,
Okay.
just in case.
So-
You're a ram and he's a ladybug.
Okay.
Are you gonna like pick something they have, or are you gonna get custom ordered outfits, custom made outfits as well?
I thought they were doing custom made too because they didn't. Oh no, they had rams. They had a ram and a ladybug. No, the ladybug had to be custom made. She said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ladybug's custom made. The ram we're just taking whatever
Okay,
one is available.
that's fine. Okay, so you guys go and you get the outfits that you want, the ones that you couldn't find, that are, you're very specific about beads. A custom order for the sake of brevity. We are going to, and this is anything else you want to do at the Threads of Fate.
I think we're good.
You leave with that. Ganji reads a little bit more.
After recovering from my vomiting.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're not even there. Are you there?
No,
No.
he's
Oh,
at the hotel.
I'm
Oh.
just. Yeah.
This is mine. You drank that much of it?
Oh, I poured it in here, but I'm almost done.
I
Yeah.
have one.
So you then read the passage on the plane of fire. That borders the what does that border? I'm pretty sure it borders the elemental planes
Water.
of earth and air. Earth and air is mostly dominated by cinder wastes. They're elemental creatures such as Ifrit. What are those things called? The salamanders and red dragons are common here. And like, there's a huge city of Afridi called the City of Brass, which is one of the the greatest trade cities in the entire cosmos, or so they say. And you also find notes inscribed. So we are going to. It mentions. There's a passage that mentions various points of chaotic activity and appropriate activity where beings from the elemental plane of fire will erupt into the material world. And then in a note besides that, it says Svarog, S-V-A-R-O-G, period, and then secret tunnel.
Okay.
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel. secret tunnel.
And then in an entry in the creatures, there's an entry on hellhounds, and that is underlined, and it says, "Can they smell through invisibility?" Question mark.
It's a terrifying question.
That's for the fire chapter.
So what I'm getting from this is Orpheus is not very bright because of course they can fucking see through and smell through invisibility. Invisibility doesn't do anything for smell. What a chump. What a mook.
What if they don't have noses?
They wouldn't be very good hounds, would they? No, I'm kidding. That's all. I'm kidding. It's ridiculous. Okay. So you guys.
Well, I feel that was very successful. Carlisle, would you still like to go to the scales and do what you do?
What was the point?
Well, you were gonna go look and see if there were any books about stuff.
Yeah, we could.
I'd like to see if there's a bookstore.
Yeah, well, yeah.
See if anything was portal.
Let's go down there.
So you're going
Time
to
to tell.
The scales.
The
So,
scales?
like a bookstore.
So you would know that like the better bookstores are in the Apollonian district.
So would there be any reason we'd want to go to the scales? Like,
Now that
For
we've
things
learned
like
about it.
weapons, armor, general goods, a lot of trade, a lot of food, like a lot of the best restaurants are in the scales.
we
a lot of
ordered
money
silver
traded.
arrows, right? 50?
Yes,
Yes,
we
you
did.
ordered 50 silvered arrows. It's more of the general goods and trade. There are things like artisans. There might be a few bookstores, but if you're like looking for more robust,
Do you want to go without Ganji, Brian?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I just feel like
I basically just want to see if we can figure out where the book came from. Like if it was sold.
I will say, in case anyone forgot, because there was the seal of the Rivingtons.
Oh.
Previously
Oh shit!
thwarted.
Oh, so it came from the road.
Came from the Rivingtons.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
yeah.
did
Never
have
mind.
that written
I
down.
re-
Yeah,
I
I,
was
I
going to-
definitely remember you saying
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in
Thank
case
you,
you
Omnipotent.
would know the answer probably to that question.
Oh, okay.
So all that discussion we had on it, pretend I didn't say it.
Well,
All right. Well.
Why don't you talk about yourself while I get a better
Sure.
view of that?
so then my next question is, if guards can't come inside, maybe we need to have personas for both you and Ganji.
I like it.
But then we have to procure you dates. Or
They can be out on
This
the
is
town.
2017. We can date each other.
Boo! Thank God Genji's not here.
you're not here. I was totally going around with that.
I didn't hear that.
This is 27.
It's the current
Alright, so-
year.
So real quick, time out while we have a minute here. So we have 3 days. We decided until armor, 4 days until the thing. I think we wanted to check out the belfry, right? Or does Ganji want to do that by himself?
Well, I think we wanted to do that because we wanted to figure out where the book came from, but we know that the book came from. Oh no, we were just interested in information about the plans.
Right. So
But
my question is,
Mikey said that we're not going to find a place there that's going to give us information about the plans.
okay. So then I guess my point is there stuff that we actually have to do or need or want to do for the next 3 days?
I think we could
Like, skip
honestly
it.
fast forward to picking up
Right.
our stuff.
That's my question.
Yeah, and then probably fast forward to
I
the
mean,
masquerade.
I'm not there, but just saying, the only thing I would consider doing is, I mean, I can't imagine there's a place for Bahamut in the Belfry, but if there's a way for me to, like, get something that I can turn into an alternate divine focus that's not my shield, that I could take while disguised.
Oh. So you went to the belfry. That's my question.
I might want to go to the Belfry.
Okay, well then that's fine. That's why I was just saying, like, as a group, like out of character, was there anything else we wanted
Yeah.
to do, or could we
It
specify?
was that and potentially library, and other than that, I think that was it.
Okay. Well then I'm good to say fast forward, but it's up to the rest of the group as well.
Yeah, and neither of those things are super critical for me. Like,
Well, I mean, you can still do that. That's fine. I mean, please, by all means, that won't take long. I just, it was just a question.
Yeah, well, why don't you do that before we fast forward? And that way, if we have to, for some reason, leave in a hurry, we won't have to worry about you missing out.
So we'll just finish reading. Ganji reading the book then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the elemental plane of air. I don't know all that stuff. It is. It's mostly a complex web of air currents. Obviously, clouds, the labyrinth winds. The main city there is Aka, A-A-Q-A. And there's a lot of creatures from there. The Aarakocra originally are from there. Jinn, which you may have seen down in Nekpet region. There is a brief note of when it's talking about certain items having magical properties from the elemental plane of air. There's a little note that says "wrong scepter?" ? Wrong scepter? ?
Is there a particular scepter that it was talking about, or
it says talks about particular weapons.
Okay.
It might mention a bow or something like that, or like a spear or something like that weapon, but it's kind of more vague. And then in the margins is wrong scepter.
And that's in the chapter of the plane of water, but it says it's talking about the plane of air.
No, this is the plane of air chapter.
Oh.
The first one was the plane of water.
Oh, but Aqua is the main city of water.
A-A-Q-A.
And that's the main city of water.
Of air.
Oh, we use water.
Oh.
So that's what I wrote.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, this
main
is the
city
air,
of
sorry.
Gotcha.
Misspoke.
I was just trying to figure it out because I was like, okay, so there's mention of I gotcha.
Then finally, the final chapter before the alchemy area is the plane of Earth. It's the plane of rigidity. There is the capital city of the Tao, which are the genies of Earth, is called the City of Jewels, and there is a lot of strife between there's the swamp of Oblivion, which is the muddy plain that borders the water plane. There's also the furnaces, which borders the fire, which is obviously fire, like more mountainous, and a lot of certain creatures like Zorn and the like. And then there's a short note that just says, almost offhand, it says, "Deep gnomes? ? Probably."
Okay.
And then finally, in the portion about the alchemy, you immediately remember the paste that had those reagents that you assume. You see that he underlined the rare reagents, particularly the bloods of the various genies, and there's a little note that says "The Alchemist?" ? It's then scratched out subtly, and then it says "Avoid at all costs. Shift or attack to daytime."
You don't want to fast forward.
Well, that's
So
again, that was a group. It's a group decision. So if you all
Yeah,
took
no. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, no worries.
I didn't, yeah.
switch to daytime.
Switch or attack to daytime. Shift or attack to daytime.
Does it? Question. I mean, I don't know if this book would say anything about this, but does it say anything about the planes having a day and night cycle?
It mentions that you probably know that particularly in the fire plane, that there are two suns, and then or there's one sun, and basically gets darker and brighter, and it shifts colors really when it's day and night. So there are day and night cycles in the elemental planes, but you're not sure what exactly that.
Of course. I was just wondering. I was wondering if I could rule out the elemental planes, but it sounds like I can't. Not definitively, anyway. All right.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so that's the book.
That's the book. If you spent maybe a little bit more time, if there's anything in particular that you wanted to know, I could probably answer. But
So these are the inner planes, right? So I guess they're kind of arranged in a circle. So each plane borders two other planes.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's something in the middle?
You get the idea that it's the material plane in the middle of that.
Oh, okay.
In the middle of that, and so they surround.
So these are still outside, like on the outer edge of the material plane. Okay. And then the outer planes are beyond that. So material, inner, elemental, outer. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, nothing. My pencil broke.
Okay. I think that's good for now. And is there like an author or a byline on this?
There is no author or byline.
Okay. So no information about where this actually comes from, but it's written in Draconic. What do the notes generally look like? So, because the first one I saw, you said it kind of seemed like he was trying to disguise it amongst the writing.
All of them seem to be in a similar style.
Okay.
With the exception of the final one, where it was scratched out a little bit and then said "avoid at all costs," it seemed a little bit hastier.
Okay. But I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of what it looks like. I guess it's the kind of thing where, obviously, since they're clearly outside of the text, it's just made for like to deceive you at a casual glance.
Yeah.
Anything more than that,
Just makes it look part of the book.
okay. Just to
It's put subtly like above and around.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of like how much it was trying to be disguised, and then how much to read into the fact that it's written in Draconic. But it's okay. So right now I am guessing that it's just written in Draconic to make it blend in with the text more, to disguise it, because something not in Draconic would be much more obvious and stand out, even to a casual observer.
It's a guess.
It's a guess, obviously. But okay. And I'm assuming that's a guess that is something that's in line.
It's not absurd.
Okay.
So I'm assuming we all meet back. You tell us all.
Yeah. I fill you in on everything. You guys probably stop me before I get too in depth in actually describing the planes, because no one cares except me. But yeah, no, I tell you about all the notes. I highlight in particular the attack happening in daytime, the hellhounds smelling through invisibility, and I also mentioned deep gnomes to Sylvie to see if she knows anything about them. So.
Do I know anything about deep gnomes?
Probably not.
It was worth a shot. I don't know that much about gnomes in general.
You would know that they're like a cousin. They live mostly underground, but like that's.
They live underground.
Would I know anything about deep
They're all my
gnomes?
cousin. All of them.
You'd probably know a similar thing that they live deep underground in mountains and mines, and they rarely come among.
Every single one of them is my cousin.
And so, what was Deep Gnomes written in relation to?
Earth.
The Earth.
Just Earth.
Yep. Deep gnomes, probably.
So here's my concern. He writes, "The alchemists avoid at all costs. Switch our attack to daytime."
Yes, that's great.
So I think that can mean two things. One,
Yes.
as he's hosting the masquerade at night,
Yes.
and instead of attacking the masquerade, he'll attack during the day.
Yes.
Or he owns the magic shop, which he visits at nighttime. We know that. And he was planning on attacking the magic shop at night, possibly to steal something.
He's a vampire.
Or he's a vampire. One or the other.
Yeah.
So
probably 3 options.
I don't think it's the magic shop, because if it was the magic shop, then he would want to attack at night during the masquerade when the alchemist
My
is
point
correct.
being is, when I say that's
True.
great, is we're going to the masquerade to show him this book to see if we can get his help. Not because we hope that Orpheus is going to attack and kill people at the masquerade. At least that was my assumption. I don't want to get blood on my new dress. So it's good that there won't be an attack, and if Orpheus is afraid of him, then Orpheus isn't going to be at the masquerade, making it more likely that we'll actually get to talk to him, potentially. And that we could potentially trust him with this book, and potentially that he could help us with Orpheus. Right? Or am I wrong? And also he's a vampire. So.
Well, I suppose that's true.
I mean, about the vampire, yes. Everything else I'm unsure of.
So back to Svarog. Would I know what that is? For the fire?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the name sound familiar to anyone? I have no idea what the names are in reference to.
Yes.
Anna
let's
would
see.
know.
Ooh. Please.
Would I?
Svarog would know. Yeah, you grew up on in the woods to the north of the Smolder Peak Mountains, of which is the great fire giant capital city of Svarog.
Oh, of course. How could I forget?
So it's the fire giant capital in the world.
So, Svarog.
I mean, is that all that I would know? Is there...
I mean,
So-
I would just know
the fire
reference.
giants that the fire giants that made the raid on your home village would probably be from there.
Okay. Okay.
Does the name Umberly sound familiar to me? Or...
Vandris would know, and then Dandy might know. Vandris would know that she is an ocean goddess.
Oh.
And Vandris would also know. So you guys are all just talking about this.
Yeah, we're discussing.
Vandris would also know
In my bedroom.
that Umberly is a goddess. She is an evil goddess, but many sailors, many people who are on the seas will give a sacrifice, will pay homage to Umberly in order to make sure nothing happens. And the name Diadra would also sound familiar as the high priestess and leader of the Children of the Sea, who are the worshippers of Diadra in Golhaven.
Umberly.
Umberly, what did I say?
Diadra.
Yeah, Diadra.
So Diadra doesn't
yeah.
worship Diadra.
Yeah,
She worships
Umberly.
Okay.
High priestess of Umberly.
Well, maybe we have business in the Belfry after all.
Maybe.
I'm glad you read that book.
Reading opens doors, I'm telling you. You should try it sometime.
And then dragon turtles. Do we know about what dragon turtles are?
Well, Gandy knows. They're dragon kin that resemble a gigantic, monstrous sea turtle, basically.
Yeah,
With claws.
they're aquatic.
Yeah, they're aquatic.
So what would a gift fit for a king be?
Whatever it is probably helping him in his diplomacy. Do we know of any... It sounds like he's trying to get into the different elemental planes. Like, he's trying to get to the plane of fire via a secret tunnel in Svarog. Which suggests to me... I would know that there are magical ways to travel planes, right? I mean, plane...
Yeah, it was in there as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't have plane shift yet, but I'm assuming I know of it.
Yeah.
So if he's trying to get to planes through mundane means, then I'm guessing he's trying to do it undercover, quietly, and that borne out by the fact that he's doing invisible. So I'm suspecting he's trying to sneak into these places, perhaps to steal something from each of the planes. If I can go out on a huge limb here, he's
Please
trying to
do.
do something from... So we know that he's been summoning things probably from the outer planes using material from the elemental planes. If he can do these things with just the blood of half-breeds from each elemental plane, what could he summon with artifacts or items from the planes themselves?
That's a good point. So what out of character, the wrong scepter.
Yep.
Was it next to something in particular? Or could we assume that he was talking about the scepter that we threw to Van? Can we look at the scepter? Do we have it? Vandy?
I mean, I don't think I have it on my person. I think it's in the bag of holding, but
Okay.
I would
I
double check.
grab
dig
it
it
out.
up.
I grab it
It's
out
been
of the bag of
it's
holding.
been a really long time. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't get rid of it.
No, we didn't get rid
So
of
I
it.
pass it to Gandry to see if he can see any connection to whatever he's riding by.
There's no images or anything like that. Just talking more of magical items and the like. The scepter, if you pull it out and it looks familiar, it's about like it's yay big, and it has a wispy cloud design in it, and at the end are 4 wings that come out. It almost looks like a morning star, but 4 feathered wings coming out at the end with with a little ornate wisp at the end as a tip.
So it does look like it's related to the plane of air.
I would agree. But he threw it to us because he already knew that he didn't need it.
Or that it was the wrong. Yes, that it was the wrong scepter, perhaps.
Right.
And this book isn't specific about items, so he might have gone there and guessed, and fortunately for us, probably guessed the wrong way.
So my opinion is that we still need to talk to the alchemist.
Certainly. It sounds like he's at least not an overt ally.
I mean, he's a vampire, so he's
definitely
definitely
a vampire.
dangerous. But
So what do you... So do you think we fast forward to the masquerade, or do we...
well, I think you should please be kind and rewind and let me finish my statement.
go on?
So I think that what we should do is that we should maybe fast forward to the day that we pick up our weapons, but also spend some time that day to go to the Belfry and just inquire about some of these things, especially the children of the sea and potentially Umberly. Like, I think we could easily do some
So why don't we
research on
go
Umberly.
today? What time is it?
Oh yeah, I guess we could do that too.
It's pretty late in the day. It's in the total
Maybe tomorrow.
opposite end of
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good point.
So that'll put us
Ooh,
at the
did we remember, like, when we went in the museum, did we see any other scepters or anything like that?
We did a rest.
Oh.
You
Oh, I'm asking now.
you probably saw a large ruling scepter from maybe a cloud giant.
I mean, we could also, Annulin, we could split up, and we could have some people go to the Belfry and look at stuff about Umberly, and then we could also have some of us go back to the museum and take a look more in depth at some of the things that they have regarding the planes and see if we can.
I think we might need to take a look at this guy's, like, private collection in the house.
I mean,
Like a little sneaky in the housey.
And who's gonna do that?
Probably the person with the bat cloak.
Yeah, if I had to put my money on someone, it would be someone in a bat cloak.
So, again, real quick, just to clarify, because I'm having trouble keeping some things straight, even though my notes are very, very good, I assure you. The person whose house was attached to the back of the Egg of Eternity, we believe is Alphonse's home, but we never confirmed that, right?
No.
Vito.
Vito's home. Okay, that's all right. That's what I thought.
Instead of just sneaking in, because it is his personal residence, and potentially ruining ruining everything that we've done so far, maybe we could just go and inquire as to whether he does private showings of his, more impressive collection, and see if there's any way that we can, he doesn't have to show it to us, but maybe there's like a deep back room and you can show us special things.
I feel like I don't think anyone should know that we're there. And yes, it is risky, but like, I don't know, maybe we wait till after the masquerade. But I think we need to get up in there and not be...
Like, I would say if we're gonna do it, we should do it afterwards, because if we get caught, we will ruin any chance of being able to speak to the alchemist. There's no way they're gonna let us anywhere near him.
So why don't we go back through the museum and look to see if there's anything related to everything we read in the book?
Should we do that while you guys go to the Belfry? And kill 2 birds with 1 stone?
Well, so I wanted to go to the magic shop to make sure there's been no trouble or robberies. So if
I love
Ganji wants to go to
robberies.
the Belfry, well, I guess I don't know. That might be kind of tricky if they're evil.
Well,
I was thinking I would take Vandrus because he
and then
was
you
the-
go alone.
I'd be happy to escort you.
And then Mademoiselle and I can go.
Should we do that tomorrow though?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
this is like this would
This is
take
late,
hours, right?
Yeah. It was
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so
so
we'll do it tomorrow. But that's the plan.
so
Is that-
tomorrow, so tomorrow I'll run by the circus on my way to, and I'm just gonna like stay posted honestly while they do all their other stuff.
Mademoiselle, will you escort me to the museum tomorrow?
Yes, dear.
Thank you. That's the plan.
All right. So yeah, let's just.
We
I guess
sleep.
we'll.
Order is okay. You guys go to sleep. With that, next morning, it's a sunnier day. People are out and about more. You awaken feeling refreshed, and you make your way out. What do we want to resolve first?
Whoever, it doesn't matter the order, whatever you guys feel like.
So they would go to the museum first. So resolve that first, and then probably I'd just stop by the circus, hit up the magic shop, and then they'd be getting to the Belfry.
Yeah, do it in time order. That's fine.
Yeah.
So one more time.
Okay, so we're gonna do the museum first.
Okay.
With the ladies. No, they're
No,
gonna go.
no.
We're splitting the party, which is probably really bad.
Okay.
We're splitting
It's
the
always a
party.
good
They're gonna
idea.
go to the museum and never split the party.
I'm sending Lumi with you since you're alone.
We'll travel together up to the circus. I'm gonna then stop in by the circus to just check on my application, and then I'm gonna go to the magic shop just to make sure that there's been no trouble or
And
robberies.
while he's doing that,
And then while I'm doing
Vandrus
that,
and-
they're gonna continue up to the Belfry and check it out.
So, just so you know, because he keeps saying they. So it's Sylvie and Annulin at the museum, Rodek at the circus and the magic shop, and Ganji and Vandrus at the Belfry.
Okay. So, Mademoiselle, just Mademoiselle, and Lou, the rest, O'Donovan, or whatever the hell her name was, they make their way to the Egg of Eternity, a nice day out. As you pass in, you go up the familiar, beautifully landscaped walkway up to the head of the museum. You walk in, the light is streaming in through the glass ceiling, and a lot of there's some bits that are stained glass. There's casting this beautiful light over a lot of the artifacts. You see that same human woman seems to be a little bit taller and angular in her features. Her hair is almost like a platinum blonde, tied back very tightly, and she looks at you and she says, "Oh, welcome back.
Hello. Should we sign in?
Please sign the guest book."
So we'll sign the guest book.
And just kind of passively, Mademoiselle, you know what I heard recently? I heard that Mudge got a private showing here of things that aren't on display. Can you believe that?
Ugh, that wench.
I don't think it's true. Excuse me, ma'am. Is it possible to get private showings of things that aren't on display here? I believe that our friend is trying to pull one over on us.
Well, are you talking about Mr. Velosnik's private collection?
Yes, I am. She keeps saying that she saw it, and I don't think that could be possible.
Well, those are usually booked months in advance. But he does, if you have an interesting artifact for him to inspect, he usually can make time very quickly.
I nudge her with my elbow.
Let me hold on, because I would know everything that I would have potentially on me.
Yeah, it's fine.
You have your horn.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying for another time.
Is the PHP open?
It should be.
I'm actually use the restroom for the back.
Would this be a time where it'd be worthwhile to show the coin?
What point?
The coin from the Archfey.
It's not really an artifact.
It's interesting.
It's just
like
it's a gold medallion.
he's flat out said like it's an interesting piece. You don't get shit from Archfey very often. It's not like you just walk into a store and get a thing from an Archfey.
I thought he told us it was just like a nice medallion that we could sell if we wanted.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Okay.
Him wanting it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a magical
That's true.
item.
Yeah. So, I look at her and said, "Oh, is that the case?" She, much, obviously, was telling me about some really fantastical things that he has, and I would love to see them myself, if not just to prove her wrong. And so, out of my bosom, I show her the medallion. I say, "This medallion was given to me by the Bear King, the Archfey himself, and I've always been interested in it. Do you think this is something he'd be interested in seeing?"
She grabs it.
Just be gentle with it, honey.
Thank you. Where did you say this was from again?
It is, an Archfey called the Bear King.
From another plane,
Yes.
I will make a note for Mr. Velosnik. Where can I find you?
Oh, my name is Lou, as I've written in the book, and I am staying at the Wit and Whimsy in room number 27.
Do you know what this is made out of?
Oh, I imagine some kind of fairy things.
Fairy things, okay. She writes it.
I'm
all
not
down.
well versed in the fae myself, but
And then you can actually see her sketching it out a little bit. She actually seems to be a pretty good artist. Quick hand.
oh wow,
She hands it back to you.
thank you.
I will show Mr. Velosnik right away, as soon as I am able to have someone look after the desk, and I will send word for you to Wit and Whimsy in room number 27. That was.
Lovely, thank you so
There you
much.
go.
Mademoiselle, shall we gaze upon the things?
We shall, dear.
Take my hand. And we'll wander around. Do we see anything that seems to be plane specific?
So nothing seems to be particularly plane specific. You do notice things like that might be planey based on there's a lot of giant and dragon artifacts. Particularly there's dragonborn and giants. So maybe if it was air, a cloud giant scepter, or a great spear, or maybe a statue of a great bird. Something like that. The water fire giant, something like that. You have you find a whole section on Dragonborn. There are and dragons. There are you do find the I guess what we will be more the which is it the brass dragon that's aquatic?
I'm not sure.
I think you find a section on brass dragons and maybe an elaborately carved chest from a brass dragon's lair from its shipwrecked lair. You find things, particularly for fire giants, maybe an ornately carved shield. Things like that.
But
So-
nothing that stands out to us as if it could be stuff that maybe the book would have mentioned.
So you do find the one thing that seems like it would be from something that Gandhi told you was a brass, strange-looking elongated lamp that you find that was retrieved from their fleet. That's like the one explicit elemental thing that you can find there.
And you said it was a lamp,
Yeah.
and it came from
An
the
oil
crate.
lamp. Yeah.
All right.
Like a genie-esque lamp.
Well, kind of like a oblong one with a skinny neck
Yeah, gotcha.
and a big fat base. It's very large. But nothing. That would be the main thing, as opposed to like more of the aquatic.
Okay.
It's a lot more. There is like magical elements, but it's more of the historical.
Gotcha.
Well, Mademoiselle, is there anything else that you think we should do while we're here?
I can't think of anything.
Would you like to go back to the Wit and Whimsy and have a massage?
Would I?
We're gonna go back to the Whimsy and have massages and drink wine.
Okay. That'll be. How much gold is that going to be? Let's say 25 gold each for all the wine and the massage.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of gold.
Easy.
Ooh, before, like, on our way out of the museum, can we kind of, like, survey the house behind
Make
Vito's house?
a perception check.
I think my dice are broken. Hold on. Perception. 11. That's balls. Hold on. Make her assist me.
It's your personal. It seems to be the same manner. It seems to be heavily guarded. You see sea eagles patrolling up and down the pathway that goes from the estate down into the backside of the museum. But you don't seem to see anyone besides the guards.
Can you
And
describe the house?
What was that?
Can you describe the house?
The house is an elaborate manor. It is more rounded at the top. It kind of comes up in exotic architecture. It's not like your standard Victorian manor. It almost looks like something like the more like the Kremlin building, something like that. Comes up in more of like a bright red aesthetic. But that's really mostly what you can see of the turrets and the like over the high walls that fence everyone out. And it's far up on a hill on this cliff.
Okay.
Over
Good
the
enough.
And so, and then this is kind of right. You could probably guess that he has one of the better views of the sea, as it's this little hill area, and he's right by the cliffside, so he can see. Great view.
Cool. All right.
Alright, we're just gonna spend the rest of the day getting massages and drinking wine.
Okay. You get massages and drink wine, and you guys are going to. You guys are all together?
We're going to travel together until the circus.
And then they're gonna split off and they're gonna continue and he's gonna
Vandris and I are going to split off and go to the Belfry.
Okay, so you guys are splitting off, and you make your way. This is probably mid-morning, probably approaching noon. You say goodbye to Vandris and Ganji, and you see the same tent, and it seems to be not super active.
Can I see any of the workers around?
You do see one. Seems to be a younger halfling boy, maybe just like a helper that they picked up that helps kind of set up, and he's doing some additional hammering in of the tent just to make sure that everything is secure.
So, wait, what clothes were I? What clothes was I wearing when I first met
You were
her?
wearing guard clothing.
Yes, you were.
So I thought. So I'm still in guard clothing. So I just want to walk back around toward that back tent where the workers were all kind of congregating.
Okay. You go around to the back, and you see that there is a little sled. You see that same half-orc gentleman walk out, and he just is going about. He's lifting a big barrel of some kind.
He walks out of the tent.
He's walking out of the tent. Yeah.
I kind of hustle up to him and I say, "Hail, friend! It's been a while."
It's you again.
It has. So, did my application manage to find its way to you, or who should I see about my application?
I gave it to Mr. Magnus, and he's interested.
Is he? Oh, all right. So, what does this work entail?
Well, what kind of job are you looking for? What can you do? Mr. Magnus prefers to interview personally.
Does he? When is he available for interviews?
Are you available now?
I could be.
He puts it down, the barrel down, and says, "Let me go check." He goes
This
back.
is going to be the greatest role-playing moment of all time forever. I literally cannot wait.
He goes back around and spends probably about 2 minutes, and he says, like, "Yeah, let's go." And he
All right, lead the way.
he leads it in, and you go into this smaller tent, and it's partitioned off by big hanging curtains. You can hear on one side the kind of the smell of animal droppings, and so you can kind of hear roaring, growling from what you assume is or the animals. You hear kind of a growling, roaring, hootish sound that you might think is an owlbear, like the one that you had killed previously, and various monstrosities, beasts, and the like. You also see dancers and acrobats kind of practicing in their kind of just keeping fit, doing exercise. He leads you through into a smaller area that's behind a curtain, and he goes in and says, "Here he is," and he turns around and lets you in. You see the same human man, human male. He's very fit, very hairy. He has his hair is all messed up. His mustache isn't as finely waxed, and he is shirtless in slacks with suspenders, with a glass of brown liquid in his hands. And his office seems to be very elaborately and well decorated. There's comfortable-looking furniture. There's an exotic-looking globe. There's a bunch of strange statues and the like around. It says,
Yeah, the bill smells like horse shit.
"It smells slightly like horse shit." He says, "Come in, you get nose blind to it. Have a seat."
I'm already used to it. Thank you, sir.
"So I got your strange resume."
You did. I'm glad it made its way to you.
"Well, we're always looking for more laborers."
All right. I'm happy to help in any way I can. I'm looking to earn a little bit of extra coin. Bit of a side job, as you can see. I have some time at nights, so I'm willing to do whatever you think I'm fit and capable of.
He gives you an intense glare, and he says, "Tell me what you're good at."
Well, I drive a mean cart. Pretty good with animals, at least mine. I'm pretty strong, quite strong actually.
"Do you know how to not get stung and eaten by a manticore?"
I'm pretty good at fighting as well. I could probably manage, maybe not dodging it so much, but I could hold my own. Certainly. Wait, what are they like strong? Would I know what a manticore is?
You saw a manticore in the show.
What would I don't have the feature yet, but if I could size it up, like, does it seem like it'd be like a really tough animal to fight?
You want to be one-on-one, yeah.
With a bit of help, I could probably handle one.
You're not on the drink, are you?
Not currently. All that.
Hey, good enough. And I assume you'll just, as soon as I pay you, you'll go piss it away at games of chance?
That might be a fine assumption.
Good, I don't trust a man that don't gamble.
Good. I roll a mean pair of dice. Says my proficiency.
Well, you're expected here every evening. Every evening. 5 p.m. 10 silver pieces a day.
So what exactly will I be doing?
Helping shovel shit and helping with the animals.
All right, that sounds quite lovely. And it only pays 7 silver a day.
Sure.
It was 10, but...
Oh, it was 10?
No, 7. You said 7. That's a verbal contract.
I knew Mikey was gonna do that. I knew Mikey was gonna take advantage.
Damn it!
Then,
Oh, so 7 silver. All right. Let's sounds quite generous.
You're my kind of stupid laborer.
So what are the hours? What kinds of hours are we talking?
7 to 4 in the morning.
So now it's 7 p.m. till 4 in the morning.
I mean 4 to 4, 12 hours. Sorry, I've been enjoying a cocktail or 3 in the parlor.
Alright, so you're saying 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Alright, well, that's quite a generous offer, I might say. And do I need to let you know now?
I would hope so. I just gave you a personal interview. I'm a very busy man. It would be a privilege to haul animal remains in my circus.
Am I provided a shovel?
I suppose we could.
Oh, that again, very generous.
And do you have your union papers?
I do not. I'm new here. Would I need
I'm
to join
surprised
the
Bellevar
union?
hasn't hit you up already.
He's not, actually. I haven't heard anything from Bellevar.
Well, if you start laboring, you will soon.
Do I need to go to him, or will he find me?
You would probably prefer you going to him.
Alright, well, when do I start?
Can you come tonight?
I could come tonight. So should I find the union now then, and join?
We'll start you tomorrow. I can't use you now.
Alright, well, could you just point me in the right direction, given that I'm new here? Where would I find this Bellevar union, and how would I go about joining?
You've never been to the Mon Ami?
I have not!
Finest casino
Mon ami, alright.
in the hemispheres.
Which one? I do know there are two.
Dionysian.
Dionysian. I should have known. So, will they give me some kind of documentation that I show you?
They'll give you your union papers, and then I know that I won't have a laborer show up in a creek.
Would be
Drown
preferable
or
to worse.
Drown when he should be working. That's worse.
His voice is getting like closer and closer to Bill Cosby.
Well, let's hope none of us end up in a creek.
Or
I
a
appreciate-
ditch.
Or a ditch. Are there creeks in the area?
Not a whole lot, but we call them the rivers of sewage and pond areas, creeks.
It was a good ad-lib, I'll say. So, anyways, I suppose I'll be showing up tomorrow at, you say, 6 p.m.?
4
p.m.
4 to 4, 12 hours of good day's labor.
Alright, well, either this evening or tomorrow morning I'll get my papers in order and I'll be here at 4 p.m.
Welcome to the magnificent menagerie. It's the most fulfilling and worst paying job you'll ever have.
Thank you, sir. And
That's
reach
how
out.
we get people.
I reach out and I shake his hand.
Welcome.
I'm looking forward to it.
As you leave, he finishes his beverage. And you leave. Meanwhile, it's a lot of meanwhiles going on. Vandris and Ganji make their way up to the Belfry.
Before we get to the Belfry, first of all, I'm gonna find a place to take off
As we
my-
depart, wait, hold on. I was gonna say, as we depart from Rodek, I'll turn to Ganji and say, do you think it's a good idea that we get back into our normal gear, mostly for me, as opposed to parading around as a noble and bodyguard?
I was just about to say the same thing. I feel comfortable. I would feel more comfortable in my own clothes and not trying to be someone else. Well,
Agreed. Let's swing by the Widow's Watch before we head to the Belfry.
okay. So we do that.
It's kind of on the way.
To just change our
Right.
clothes.
Okay, you go in to the inn. It seems So the hour where it's kind of dead, you don't really see Seamus. You go up to your room, all your clothes are there.
Okay. So just change it to our normal gear.
And Mike, I sent you a Facebook message,
Oh shit.
and we'll head to the Belfry.
Why don't Van just send and Ganji talk a bit, huh?
It's real quick. It's not urgent.
Yeah, I mean, basically my strategy, as I'm going to the Belfry, I'm going to be looking out for a place I can get a non-giant fucking shield holy symbol. I don't know that I'll find one, because it has to be specific to Bahamut, I think. But if I can find one, I would want to get one. Just like an amulet or something.
We head to the Belfry.
So, yeah, I don't know if I would find a holy symbol that I could use. It's not. But
As we
I'm just
approach-
gonna keep an eye out for one if there's one.
As we approach the district, I'll turn to Ganji and say, I'm basically following you here. I'm just here to, make sure we don't get in any real trouble. You lead the way.
Okay, I don't. If you want to ask questions of this, what was her name?
Deidre.
Deidre. If you want to ask her about Orpheus, I'm not opposed. Just we should probably better you than me, but we should probably be circumspect in how we ask.
Agreed.
So it sounds like he might have made contact. So okay, so we go through looking for this temple, which Vandris presumably knows where it is, or what it looks like anyway.
So are you going to look for a Bahamut temple, or are you going to?
Right now, I'm going to the temple of Amberley first, and just on the way, keeping an eye out for a place where I could get a holy symbol, like a temple of Bahamut or something. But the main focus right now is Amberley.
So as you make your way, you see varieties of different shrines and churches of all. Some are gaudy, some are very quaint, wooden. Some are built of heavy stone temples. You see things like a lot of worshippers of Saloon. You see Sylvanus. You see or Sylvanus, how do you pronounce that? You see things like Talos, and then more like popular light gods like Fultus and Pelor. Of all real varieties, one of the major religions seems to be the worshippers of Saloon. At the very far end, you see as you reach the end, there's a large bridge that goes over to a small island, and a huge lighthouse is coming up over the sea. You kind of see the sea spray as it crashes against the sea cliffs, and at the very end, it seems to be a huge, or not huge, but a large ship that had beached at the very end of these cliffs, and that is where where Vandris would know that the children of the sea reside. As you make your way, you see that on the back of the ship is called the Southern Cross, and the mast has since collapsed, but there is a door. Let me turn on my music here. Oh, that's why. You see the light is coming down, kind of bathing in this, and there is a door basically built into the side of this wrecked ship that seems to be very firmly in place.
Okay. Can I see the note from the water?
The water's the first one. Second.
Yep. Okay. Consult data. Okay. Okay. So I guess we walk. So we have to cross the bridge to get to it.
So no, it's actually at the end, right before the bridge.
Oh, right before.
So yeah, there's right before the bridge. At the very end of this row,
Okay.
the bridge goes to the island, the small island with the lighthouse.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Apologies.
Oh yeah. Vandris, do you know what this lighthouse is? Is it just a lighthouse, or is there something more to it?
I reach deep down into my well of knowledge that may or may not have been imparted to me by the DM god, and I say,
It is the light of Pelor. It is just the standard lighthouse that is part of the belfry, and it was originally erected by the religious order of Pelor, but it's just the city's main lighthouse.
that was going to be my next guess.
Okay, so I guess we walk up to the ship. I mutter under my breath that this isn't like any fucking temple I've ever seen, but okay. And is the door open? Like, is it the kind of thing where we can just walk in, or?
So you don't seem to see anyone coming in or out. As you approach, you see a small stone shrine right outside. Very crude sea stone, almost looks like it's covered in barnacles, worn away by the elements. And there is two waves cresting opposite of each other, carved into that. You see a few coins, a few candles here and there, in a little basin at the bottom of this. But there is, beside that, there is a door that you can seems to be easily openable.
Okay. I look over to Vandris, motioning to the door to see what he thinks of just walking in.
It's generally not an issue, right? I mean, like the temples don't generally turn people away. We should just be on our guard and be careful of the things that we talk about, but we shouldn't have any issues just walking in.
Okay. I'll tell her that I'm doing research on different religions, which is not too far from the truth. So I walk in. I'm gonna knock on the door.
You knock on the door, and after a moment, the door opens. You see a large human male open the door. He has a beard. He is covered in so many tattoos of an aqua. It seems almost as if his whole body is this teal aqua color. All around you see designs of various sea creatures, tentacles, fish, cresting waves all over his body from what's visible. On his back, he has a huge shield that looks almost like a horseshoe crab shell, like a big crab shell, and then at his side is a long sword, but seems to look like there's sharp teeth coming out of either side. And he opens the door, he just looks at you, and holds the door open for you to come in.
Okay. So I nod to him and walk in, and
You walk in, and you see this. As soon as you step in, the noise doesn't seem to correlate with what the sound of the street outside. As you step in, it almost gets dampened, the sound behind you, and you can swear you hear the sound of a creaking ship at sea, although you are not moving. The portholes have been, the glass has been replaced with, or been filled in with stained glass, elaborate depictions of things like huge octopuses, squids, sharks, whales, that sort of thing. And there's this brilliant turquoise glow from the sun coming in through those windows. It looks like a makeshift church built out of the hold of this ship. And there are rows of seats, and at the front is an altar that has a very large clam opened up, and inside is a very beautifully carved symbol of the same double cresting wave inside. At the head of this, behind this altar, is a woman. She does not appear to be human. She's humanoid. She seems to be of average height. Her skin is a deep green. Rather than normal human ears, they almost look like fins on the side of her head. She has blue hair that rests at that comes down and seems to almost be wavy, although she's standing completely motionless. She's simply hanging her head on. In one hand, she is holding a trident. It is a very elaborately carved something out of coral, very ornately designed, decorated with seashells, but also looks like covered in barnacles and heavily weathered. And she's simply looking down at what seems to be the clam on the altar. As you come in, you see a few people. They seem to be in. You see some people that are heavily armed, similar to the gentleman that let you in. But you also see people dressed in very simple blue, turquoise, green robes that are walking, that are sitting in the rows, and you see an occasional ragged-looking fisherman kneeling, saying a prayer, looking half reverent but also half scared and nervous. And so that is what you see. Sorry, it was a bit long explanation, but
Okay.
Set the scene.
So it looks like they're in the middle of something.
it looks like as if it seems to be that there isn't a ceremony going on. She's just standing there, her hair's down, she's just looking at it, and
I lean into Ganji and I very quietly whisper, "I'm following your lead here. This is definitely not my element."
Well, the sea is not mine, but we'll do the best we can. God's willing. So how far away are all these other people from me? Like, I guess the guy who opened the door for me is still, like, we're still next to him.
you're still next to him at the door. The door is towards like the back of the ship, and then
Okay.
it's the road all the way up to this altar, with the Umberlee symbol
Okay.
on it.
Okay, so I walk up to the guy who opened the door, or I guess I'm already next to him, but I whisper to him, trying to, be relatively respectful, and whisper to him, I'm looking for the High Priest of Amberley. Is that figure on the head her?
He leans in and whispers and says, "That's Deidra.
Is it possible for me to talk to her? I don't want to interrupt if she's doing something important, but if she has a moment, I'd like to speak to her."
If you have a sacrifice for Umberlee, she has a moment.
Otherwise?
We only host those that respect our queen.
Give me a second. What kind of sacrifices does Amberley require of her followers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just...
I was actually gonna lean into Ganji and ask if it would be inappropriate to ask what kind of sacrifices.
Should have done this when I first started.
I love it.
Should have done that. Sorry about that. He gets this smirk, and you can see this just disgusting black in his teeth. And it seems like a sinister smirk, and he says, "Whatever you're willing to sacrifice."
Yeah.
And so you saw that there was gold outside and things like that. So you get the idea that it's not like kill yourself or whatever.
No, I know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out if he's like.
Kill yourself, kid.
No, I know. I'm trying to more figure out if he's
That's
like
good.
make a donation to the temple or like get some kind of fucking goat and fucking sacrifice a goat or some shit. That's what I'm trying to get. So I'm like, well, I take Vandris aside and whisper to him, I have a few coins that I brought in case of need. I would be okay with making a donation of 5 gold if it lets us talk to this lady, but I don't know about doing more than that. What do you think?
It's certainly worth a try. Paying the price of admission is required.
So I go back to the guy and say, I think it's pretty clear I'm not a follower of Emberly myself, but I'm here to research different modes of worship in different gods and different religions. As a sign of respect towards your queen, I would be willing to make a donation of gold if it would let me discuss with your high priestess and learn some more about Emberly.
He nods at you and he opens up, or no, he shoots a thumb back outside towards in the direction of the shrine that you pass. He says, "Pay the Umber with yourself."
I will. So I go out. Can I say I have like 10 gold on me? So I put like 5 gold in the thing.
You put 5 gold. He's still holding the door for you and lets you walk in, and he makes a gesture. And with that, the woman's eyes go up, and she makes eye contact with the gentleman, and he nods, and then he closes the door behind you.
We're in.
And she puts her head down, her blue hair, once again looking down in reference.
Okay. So can I go talk to her now, or I'm asking this? Okay.
He beckons to her again.
Okay, so I go up, I guess.
You step up, and she is kind of, as you're approaching, she's walking back and forth, gripping the trident that's considerably taller than she is. And 4 gold's all you can muster, huh?
And as I said, I appreciate the need to show respect to the gods of the area, but I'm here for research. I don't have that much to offer to anyone else.
Well, you pay the 4 gold. What do you want?
I was hoping for information, actually. As I said, I'm here on research and
Well, I already knew that. What are you trying to get out of me?
information on Emberly and how you worship her and what she does for her followers.
It's more of you're obviously not from a coastal community.
Obviously not.
It's a matter of what she doesn't do to those that forsake and worship lesser gods.
See,
Our queen has the right to rule the sea as she sees fit. You give your sacrifice, and maybe you'll get to where you go.
I see. A kind of
It's that simple.
an appeasement rather than a worship.
Is there any better and more genuine connection to a god than appeasement?
I could probably.
Are we going to have a religious discussion?
We don't have to do that. I'm not here to cause any disrespect or any strife. I'm simply looking for information. In the course of my research, I've read about the plains, and particularly the plane of water. I would assume a god of the ocean would have a connection to that plane. Do you know if is that part of her? Is that part of your devotions to her? Do you know of any connection she might have to there?
Well, I'm even going to ask that.
How so?
Let's say Umberly tells us she speaks to me. And why would a true priestess of the sea not have communion over her goddess's domain?
Certainly makes sense. What kind of connection?
I speak for the sea. I am the sea. And trying any further might not be the best advice for you. She looks up and she has these very, very deep bluish greenish eyes that almost looks like this just like the pit of the sea as she looks at you, and there's a twitch that comes to her the side of her lip that is definitely not the best intention.
Mm-hmm.
If I may be so bold,
Her head snaps to you.
I get the feeling we may not be the only strangers from out of town coming around asking these questions lately.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if that's the case, which I doubt that it is, then we should probably be on our way. But if someone else were to come around and ask these very similar questions, I just want to let you know that this person could be, may have disingenuous intentions. And it may be for the safety of all that you were to let us know.
She smiles and looks back up at you. I think such a certain person would be more careful of my intentions. But duly noted.
I say no more.
And thank you for your time. I think it's time we took our leave.
Thanks for stopping by. We hope to see you again.
Well,
We will.
if I ever plan to get home, I've no doubt of that.
As you guys are leaving, the dude opens the door, and the large gentleman, and she calls out from the altar and says, Vandris, say hi to Seamus for me.
Will do.
Play cool.
Dun dun dun.
And as you leave, you hear a loud, and the door shuts behind you.
I looked again and you say, well, that was pretty spooky.
Well, I think we should probably have at least some of us stay with your friend if you actually care about his well-being.
So, you're probably right. I would like to think that they don't have ill intentions with Seamus, but it more solidifies the fact
by
that
the
their
way,
god
I
may
assume-
have
I
powers.
assume we're walking away at this point.
Yes. We are proceeding away.
Get me the fuck away from that place.
I presume that this lends some validity to the fact that they may have visions of information, not readily available to them. I've never met this woman, clearly. So I wonder what kind of power their god actually has.
Well, you never do well to discount the power of gods and legends about gods. So I wouldn't underestimate her or whatever she's talking about. But
It wouldn't hurt to ask Seamus either if he has visited this particular temple or has met this woman in the past. Seamus knows just about everyone. He's got connections everywhere, so it may not be an evil intention that she mentioned his name.
maybe not. But I would still, next time we talk to him, I would still recommend we tell him to be particularly wary.
Agreed. Do we need to try to find a Temple of Bahamut or some other area where you may be able to find what you're looking for?
Did I see one on the way in?
As you made your way, you did pass what seemed to be a small temple of Bahamut with that platinum dragon emblazoned on the door.
Let us. I saw a temple on the way in here. Let's stop in quickly and see if we can quickly get another symbol for my use. So.
All right.
Okay. You head down to where you had seen the temple of Bahamut. You open the door. It seems to be built out of a very simple, just like wooden structure. Does not seem to be that gaudy, but nicely maintained. You go in and although there aren't any windows, it seems as if that there is this light it's not candlelight. It's just this shiny platinum light that you know that you use in your magic. As you approach, you see a dragonborn. You see what seems to be a female dragonborn, and rustling around in a large chest by the main altar up in the front, and she is kind of muttering to herself as you come in.
Okay. Once again, I'm gonna knock on the door.
Okay.
To let her know that I'm not gonna sneak up on her.
And she kind of jolts up and says, "Oh, welcome. Come in. Come in."
Hello, my lady. I was. I happen to have a bunch of spaghetti falling out of my pocket at the time. Oh god.
It's the pheromones from the other dragonborn.
This is literally the first other dragonborn I've seen ever. So whatever.
Knees weak, palms are sweaty.
So let me describe her.
Yeah.
She's a golden dragonborn. I think I mentioned that. She's wearing simple platinum-colored robes, but well maintained. She looks very clean, well put together. She is definitely shorter, considerably shorter than you. She's shorter for your race, and she seems, to what you know, to be a little bit older, probably decently past middle age.
Okay. I was just here to see if I could procure a holy symbol for use in my devotions to Bahamut.
Oh, fellow worshipper of Bahamut.
Yes, very much so.
How practiced are
If I had if I had to rank myself on the from between 1 and 20, I would say I was about a 6.
Oh, very little baby cleric. What purpose is this? To rent? To own? To buy?
This is lease?
Well,
Good interest rate.
I was hoping for an installment plan, actually. But no, I would like to buy one. My current holy symbol is not always the most practical thing depending on the situation, and I would like to have an amulet perhaps, that's one I can wear underneath normal street clothes.
Understandable. It was, I think, from a 1 to 20, a 6, we can do an amulet. She goes back to the chest and she's digging around some trinkets, and so she says, "Let us sit and pray." Do you have a friend? This will be a while. This will be a long time. And so she sits, and
I roll my eyes and whisper to Vandris that he can go ahead if he wants.
I will. I'll leave. On my way back, though, I'd like to stop in to see Seamus.
Okay.
But continue.
So Vanders leaves, and she starts muttering to herself a prayer, similar prayers that you would have been taught and you would say. And she's like, "Grab the other end! Come on, baby little cleric!" And she holds it. And so the amulet has a similar symbol as your shield. Mm-hmm. It's just a very simple, not a shiny silver or anything, just a simple metal amulet with Bahamut's face carved in, a little bit of blue paint in there as well. And so she's holding it and it's like, "We will pray," and you'll probably pray for about an hour. And just make a religion check.
Okay.
Or if you think that you're no longer a cleric.
Thank God I didn't.
You're a warlock.
Thank God I hopefully didn't fail. The DC is really difficult on this, guys.
Yeah.
That would be a 22.
22.
Yep, you failed.
So it actually takes you a little bit shorter than an hour. So it only takes about 30 minutes of praying. And once you finish, like, "Well, we welcome donations for this that I had to give you, but a true believer in Bahamut, it is my duty to provide you with what you need." And she hands it to you.
I take it. I pick up a stone and see if I use it to cast light on the stone just to make sure that.
As you grab it, you feel Bahamut's energy, and then you find a little spare pebble on the side of the temple, and you with it you cast your light, and it lights up. And says, "See, I do pretty good."
We both do pretty good. And an offering for the temple and for our great god Bahamut, and I give her the other 5 gold that I have.
Thank you. Bahamut's blessing upon you.
And you. And then I turn around and leave, and I would go to try to meet up with Vandris at the
Chemise. With chemise.
So
yes.
as you make your way back, you curve around the street where the Pelican's Perch is. As you go in, there seems to be people are looking around and they're chattering and they're whispering and they all looking around expectantly. And as you come in, he said, "There's a bearded gentleman who calls like, 'Hey, have you seen Seamus?'"
Hold up. Wait, are you talking to Ganji or me?
You.
So this is while he's still praying.
While he's praying. Yeah. Well, you're ahead of him. He's on his way back now.
No, I'm here to find Seamus.
Yeah, he hasn't been here for a couple hours.
Are you sure about that? When was the last time you saw him?
I just got here. I mean, people have been talking that they haven't seen him since morning.
I stand up, or not stand up, but I project loudly. Who was the last person here who saw Seamus?
You see a small forest gnome gentleman. He says like, oh, "That was me. I got some breakfast from this morning."
How many hours ago?
It's probably about 6 hours ago.
Did he say anything? Did he say where he was going? What happened?
He had just served the sausage and wasn't his nasty biscuits, and he went
I
out
killed
to
men
the
for
back
less.
room.
Just let you know, I've killed men for less.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw him go around back, and he never came. We poked around, and we haven't seen him.
I rushed to the back of the inn, through the kitchen, whatever, back to the back.
The door is locked.
Shit, I just want to like kick the door in.
Okay, make an attack against the door.
Shit, done. 19.
19. You with one. Oh, just roll damage.
Is it engaged? Is the door engaged?
No, you're an unseen attacker. So
That means I get to roll like 400 dice.
Roll sneak attack.
Alright, surprise attacks are automatic crits. No, I'm just kidding.
The door was caught off guard.
Just say it's
7, 8, 11.
Okay, you just kick the door. It flies
Perfect.
off the handle. You look around back. It's Seamus's room. It's his bed. There is. You look around and you feel a slight breeze. As you look down, there is a hole in the back of the room, going through the alleyway behind the tavern outside. There are coins scattered all over the place. The till box is knocked over, and there you look around, and as you step, you notice that it's wet, and you look and there's a pool, just a pool of water. His bedding is drenched, and there seems to be a sign of a struggle.
Alright, so the very first thing I do is I turn back through the door and I say, "Everyone get out now!"
And make an intimidation check.
Done. Let me check my
With
intimidation
advantage.
scores.
With
Hold
advantage
on.
is fired up. With advantage.
We'll get these over.
I got a 17.
17. Everyone just stands up immediately. They see like the intense and the threat that you made previous to the gnome is like, okay, this dude means fucking business, and they all get up and just vacate the premises immediately.
I made sure the door is closed but not locked because I assume that Ganji's coming or whatever. So I need to investigate the room. So you said there's a hole in the floor or in the back of the wall?
The back of the wall, as if someone broke through the back of the.
Can I tell if it was in or out?
Make an investigation check.
I put on my eyes of minute seeing to get advantage.
Okay.
I got a 20 plus my investigation, which is an 8, so 28.
The wood is splintered inward, and it seems to be dry, but it seems to have been a while ago. It is splintered inward.
And the wetness, you said, so that it's dry, broken inward. The wetness is inside?
Around the door, but there is a shallow pool of water in his room, and it seems that there's still wet in the cloths and on his bedding and on his clothing and on his things. Just it seems to be very wet.
All right, so there are coins scattered everywhere. Is there anything else that appears to have been rummaged through or missing?
It seemed we'll just count the investigation check as the whole room.
All right.
And so you look around, nothing seems to be missing or out of place besides Seamus.
Oh, so even the gold.
The gold wasn't taken. There are coins all over the place.
So then I'll walk through the entry hole and take a look left and right or forward, whichever way the street goes.
You you have to duck down to kind of get out. It's basically like 3 boards of this wooden building that were just blasted in, and you see the floorboards are the boards of the building are inside the room, and you look around and it just seems to be an empty alleyway. It's very tight. It's tight between the buildings. It probably could only fit like one person 5 foot behind, besides the building next to it. But
is it left and right, like perpendicular to the?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Okay.
So you look at it, and then there's a row of buildings like right in front of you, and then you can look down, and like that's like the street that you like came in on, and then there's another street going down the left side too, but a row of buildings.
And there's no sign of any movement, struggle in either direction.
We'll keep that investigation check. As you do see that there seems to have been a pile of waste that has been kicked over and like flung against the wall, heading in the direction heading north towards heading northward.
I'm gonna take off in that direction.
Okay. You. So what we're going to do here is just make a general. What's the tracking?
That's survival.
Survival. Make a survival.
Oh boy, that's one of my worst. Here we go. I got a 10.
A 10.
Yeah.
You start looking. You start looking for any sign of a struggle. You head north, and it seems you do. You do find. You go past the stables where Piccolo and Randy are being held, and you see that there has been a bales of hay and like feed that have also been kicked over and knocked down and not been tidied up. And as you're making your way forward, you can't really see any more signs of struggle, and then you run into Genji.
Genji! Seamus is gone! I think he's been kidnapped!
Ugh. Well, we should have seen that coming. Okay. Do you think he's still alive?
God, I hope so. There wasn't any blood. There was just moisture. It was damp. This entire room was wet.
Do we know how long ago this happened?
Pete, the last person saw him about 6 hours ago. But judging by the dampness, it wasn't dry yet. The entryway, the forced entry appeared to be dry. But there was still moisture all in the room, so it couldn't have been more than a few hours.
So it has been less than a few hours. It's been like maybe an hour since we talked to the. Would you say?
Yeah, it would have been like less than
Or-
2 hours.
It would have been probably
2 or 3
since you talked
hours.
to her. Probably would have been maybe an hour and a half.
I wonder if this happened when she made that comment.
Or it sounds like I would guess it already happened and she knew about it.
We need to find him. I don't think you understand how important this is.
Well, do you want me to try to send to him?
Yes. That's a fantastic idea.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry, I'm just not thinking very clearly.
all right. I'll send to him and ask him where he is, if he's okay, and whether we can get to him, and what he wants us to do. Okay?
If we don't get a good answer, I'm gonna start leaving a trail of bodies behind me.
Let's hold off on that plan until we try it. So I'm gonna cast sending, asking him, like, this is Genji. I mean, the spell tells him who I am, but this is Genji, the friend of Vandris. Where are you? Are you okay? How can we help you? Basically.
And what would someone need in order to respond? Do they talk? Is it in their head?
I believe it's mental.
Okay.
So I send the message to them, and they respond in a like manner. So let me pull it up. Yeah, you send a short message of 25 words or less to a creature with you are familiar. The creature hears the message in its mind, recognizes me, and can answer in a like manner immediately. So it's a mental. It should be a mental message that they can send back, and they know that they can send it back. and it's 25 words or less. So if he's alive and on this plane, he should get it.
Oh shit!
And be able to respond. And if he's on a different plane, there's a 5% chance that it doesn't go through.
What about consciousness? How does that work? Do they just get it when they wake up?
Probably.
Like voicemail?
I guess.
We'll homebrew it and I'll look it up.
that's
We'll
DM
homebrew it
fiat.
Okay.
So basically, we know he's unconscious.
Well, if I don't hear a response.
So you send the message and you wait, and then you hear you get a message back,
Okay.
and it says like, I don't know what's going on. But is it,
Don't worry about the word count.
it's the children of the sea. They took me to the sea hag's mouth, but don't come. It's a trap.
See, so do you relay the message
Yeah,
to me?
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. No, I like write that shit down and then tell you and show you.
Sea hags? You don't think?
So you would know that the Sea Hag's Mouth is a place of urban legend. It is a cove, couple miles north of Gullhaven, that is so treacherous. The currents are so strong. The tide is so treacherous and violent, and there's so many rocks and also vicious creatures in the area that is like a not a Bermuda Triangle, but a place that sailors and fishermen and seamen avoid. And it's common knowledge among Gullhaven.
Wait, so where's this?
It's a couple miles north of Gullhaven.
Okay.
Is it? Are the children of the sea the worshippers of Umberly?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ganji, I know that he said it was a trap, but this man would die for me, and I'm willing to do the same for him.
He's helped us. I would never turn down the opportunity to help a comrade in need. But
We need to rally the gang.
Yes, we need to gather our troops, and
If they don't want to come, I'm going by myself.
I at least will go with you.
I appreciate that. Let's make haste.
Okay. Do we have any idea where they are?
I said I was going to hang out by the magic shop just during the day to make sure that there was no funny business. You know where I am.
I think also, as a general rule of thumb, we know that our base of operations is currently the Noble Garden, so it wouldn't hurt to reconvene there in a worst case scenario, right? I mean, we would all know to just head back to the rooms at the end of the day.
Okay.
We went back to the hotel for like spa stuff, so
Right, so
Oh,
I-
right, you guys
Sorry.
are.
That's
Well,
where we're at.
we don't know that, but
We're drinking
but when we
alcohol.
go
We're like,
there-
we're 50 gold into the alcohol. And
So that's
stuff.
why I put the
Yeah.
This is why, yeah, you guys are.
okay.
By the time they get there, we're gonna be sloshed.
Yep.
Well,
But
hopefully
it's
that
safe.
won't-
Be
It's safe to
prepared for
assume
all
we would make our way back to Noble
as
Garden.
an elf, I don't know that I can actually get sloshed, but I've certainly given it a good effort.
Do you want to go back to Noble Garden and I'll go and get Lurodek by the magic shops?
I think that's a great plan.
Alright, we'll meet you back there soon.
So for the sake of
Mikey, what are my chances of sneaking into Noble Garden unnoticed as I am?
I mean, it depends on how you want to do it.
While we're at the inn, I'm gonna go up and get my stuff, my disguise.
Right. I mean, we're grabbing everything from the inn. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
I
not
wouldn't
safe to
do
stay
that.
here.
So
I think we should grab everyone else's things as well.
I agree.
I will say that, like, just for clarity, people are welcome to come in. It's not just nobles that are allowed. It's not like they check you in and whatever.
Right.
It's you
So-
stood.
My point is, I'd like to. There's no time. There's no time for me. I'm worked up, obviously. You know, I gotta find my buddy.
Yeah.
There's no time for me to change and sneak in and be disguised. I want to go into Noble Garden as quick as I can with the ladies' things. You know, unnoticed, keeping low profile. Walk into the what you call it, and get to the room.
Okay. I mean, there's no.
Just being
reason-
inconspicuous. You know,
Yeah,
minding my own
yeah.
business.
So just roll a general stealth check just to be inconspicuous.
I rolled really, really, really high. I got a 30.
You have your cloak up, your little bat ears. You're walking briskly, but the seagulls, seem to really pay you no mind.
What time is it roughly right now?
It is. It's like it's past sunset. The sun is.
Okay,
is
so I
dipping
would
down.
assume that at this point, Annulin and I are done at the spa, so we're having like a pillow fight in my room. Sounds good.
Honestly. Yeah, I'm all in.
You're with him,
Um,
or you're with Rhoda.
yeah.
So Vanders gets back. He gets back into the room there, and then you're all in the room. You guys are having a pillow fight.
Ladies, please stop. This is important. Seamus is missing.
What?
He's been kidnapped.
You're
By
so
who?
funny.
He's been
Fine.
He's been kidnapped by the Children of the Sea, the followers of Umberly.
Kids can't kidnap big people.
I've brought all of your things. I throw them on the ground. I say, this is not a drill. We need to be prepared and we need to be ready to move out. I'm leaving with or without you.
I cast sleep on him. I'm just kidding.
I'm immune to magical sleep.
Yeah.
yeah, damn it.
The pixie does get it.
I wave a hand in front of my face.
I'm not
Stop it,
fucking
woman.
kidding, Sylvie.
That's amazing.
That's fine. We'll go. Don't throw your shit on the ground, all right?
Hold on. So you're
Just
serious.
Just remember
You've
that.
stolen Seamus.
Ganji is on his way to find Rodek, and they're going to meet us.
Lumi's with Rodek. I could just let him know what's going on.
Is she?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Tell them to meet
I
us
said
here.
that I sent her with you because you were going alone.
Oh,
That's
You just don't pay attention.
I guess not.
So, well, if Genji's on his way, then yeah, we'll just wait.
And I hit Annulin with a pillow again.
I'm just gonna go back to my room.
Meanwhile, once I get out of the initial area of the inn, I'm gonna duck into a place, change into my disguise,
okay.
and then
Make a stealth check. And just for the sake of brevity, there's been nothing, at least, that the young lady had noticed as far as things that were up.
No, okay. And I just hung out all day just waiting for trouble.
Okay.
For-
Yeah, trouble didn't come.
14 to change, and I'm not gonna particularly care about stealth. I'm gonna go as fast as I can without actively drawing attention to myself to go find it.
Okay. You find Rodek where he said he would be, and you guys are together now.
And you fill me in on.
Yeah,
So you guys had
Vandris and I did some research, but a situation has come up, and we need to get back to the inn right away.
Shit! I'm running as fast as I can.
Yeah. So we move it back as fast as we can to the inn.
Okay. You run back to the inn. You make a stealth check just to... Oh, you're in your guard's place?
I'm
Oh, okay, you're all good. Oh, you guys are good to go.
Yeah,
So you
I'm
guys
good
just
to
run
go.
back,
We're
and then
good.
you're all good to go. No one pays you any mind. You look like a bunch of slackers that were too busy
shooting dice.
or enjoying the ladies of the Mon Ami or
The
some,
Devil's
some
Game.
other place. And you make it back. You're all in the room.
What
So,
happened?
I'm sure Ganji's already given you some information, but as we were leaving the temple, we got a very strange, ominous message in hindsight. Basically saying the priestess told us that we should. I, having never met her before, she called me by name and told me to say hi to Seamus for her. At the time, I thought perhaps maybe it was just another person that Seamus had known. He knows everyone. But when I arrived at the Pelican's Perch, there was a sign of forced entry and a struggle, and he was gone. Ganji performed a sending and was able to communicate with him, so he is alive. But he told us that where he's being held, the Sea Hag's mouth is a trap, and that we should not come. Needless to say, there's no way I would ever not go. As I told Ganji, this is a man who would lay his life down for me, and has before in the past. I would do the same for him.
So, if it's a trap, we have no idea what we're walking into.
You're right. And as foolhardy as it is... I'm sorry?
Does he mean to you what Sophina meant to me?
This man is the closest I have to calling a family at this point.
I'm with you. I'll go. I don't care what we're in for.
Thank you.
Our one advantage is
Then we know it's a trap.
yes, and we know where it is. They might not know. They might not expect us to find out so quickly. If we move quickly and carefully, we might be able to lessen their advantage on us.
And they won't expect us at night, so let's go in the dark.
How do we even get there?
It's treacherous. It's a few miles north of the city.
Can we travel by foot, or do we have to take a boat?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
It is a cove into the cliffs in the sea. It'd be very difficult to. I mean, you might be able to, try to rappel down and then go in, but it is it's most likely accessible via the water, while treacherous.
We might have to take a small. We may have to take a small vessel and try to navigate under the cover of darkness.
Aren't they like magical sea wizards?
Something like that.
Well, you know about as much as I do. All I can say is that the children are going to pay.
Well, I guess you better find a boat.
I can make that happen.
And with that, I think we'll call the session.
All right. Ton ton ton.
Seamus!
I knew something was gonna fucking happen to Seamus.
I'm so angry.
So,
Literally right after he told us he was worried.
viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please like our Facebook page. We do this usually Wednesday evenings or Saturday afternoons. Those are really our only 2 days that we do it.
Maybe Sunday.
Maybe Sundays. It'll be flexible. We'll try. We didn't really. I don't think we announced tonight. We're gonna try to be better about that when we can do it and have a better schedule. But usually Wednesday evenings, Saturday afternoons is usually when you can find us. One or the other in a week, about once a week. And so if you liked it, we really appreciate it. If you didn't, let us know in the comments with your angry comments. And thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
One fun thing is 3 of us are going to be at PAX Unplugged this weekend.
Yes.
So if any of you guys are going to be there and you just happen to recognize the schlubs walking around, come say hi, because maybe we could play some D&D at PAX
It'd be a
Unplugged.
weird coincidence,
or
but say hi.
The first tabletop PAX, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a good announcement.
It'll be fun.
So we'll be there if you guys want to say hi or hang out. I don't know if anyone's in the Philadelphia area this weekend. And other than that, I think we're ready to sign off.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. We'll be sure to update when we're streaming next.
Thanks
Definitely not this Saturday. Hopefully, maybe next Wednesday. We'll discuss.
We'll discuss.
Possibly.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Bye.